Chapter 10:16. Chang Zhan sensed her thoughts. Actually, he didn't mind these things. He also knew that she didn't mind. But they all had the same thoughts. They only wanted to spoil each other and treat each other better. He felt that they had been together like this many times. We should have been husband and wife in our previous life. Yes, we were husband and wife in our previous life. Not only in our previous life, but also in the previous and previous lives, Tangwa replied. Chang Zhan smiled. He believed her. He didn't know where she came from. If she said so, then so be it. Moreover, he felt the same way. He held her hand and kissed the back of her hand gently. Then you'll definitely be husband and wife in the next life too? Senior, be good. You'll definitely be. I will, Chang Zhan replied. This 40% similar sentence made him feel that they should be bound together forever. In this life, Tangwa chose to be a lawyer and only fought rumors. However, after 10 years of doing this, she could no longer take on this type of lawsuit. She could only change her direction and do something else. In short, she felt that her life was not bad. In this small world, she had successfully left a trace of her existence. Her lifespan was only extended by 20 years from the original 17 years old. In other words, in this life, she had lived for 30 to 70 years. At 37 years old, she was still young. The whole world was extremely shocked to receive the news that she would not live for long. She's so young. Someone must have spread this rumor long ago. Sue him. Sue whoever spread the rumor. But no matter how agitated they were, they still couldn't change this fact. Countless people shed tears over this news. They were all regretful that this life that changed the world was so fragile. Did God think that she was too outstanding, so he wanted to take her away? Senior, I'm really sorry that I had to abandon you first. Chang Zhan had a smile on his face. He held her hand dotingly and leaned over to her ear. What nonsense are you talking about? A world where you existed is not lonely at all. When I'm lonely, I won't be lonely when I think of you. Then let's meet again in the next world, Tangwa said with a smile. Chang Zhan nodded. I'll be good. I'll wait for you to come and find me, Xiaogua. All right, I'll come and find you. As long as you're obedient, I'll definitely find you. At the last moment of Tangwa's life, Zuoran and Weiliang appeared and asked her again if the dream was real. Tangwa smiled and replied, It's true. They didn't seem to be troubled by the dream. After getting the answer, their eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Everyone watched as Tangwa left and left one after another. In the end, Zuoran and Weiliang also left, leaving Chang Zhan alone to guard her. That night, Zuoran and Weiliang no longer had such dreams. They slept peacefully until the next morning. The next day, when they met, Zuoran said, She is so cruel. She took our dreams with her when she left. Yeah, she's really a heartless person. She said that the person in the dream wasn't her. Why do I feel like they are so similar? They are cruel to themselves and cruel to others. Why aren't they the same person? Tangwa was in a daze for a moment. When she saw her surroundings clearly, she felt that there was something in her hand. She focused her eyes and saw that it was a marriage certificate. She flipped through it. The photo of the marriage certificate was of her and a handsome man. Thank you, Xiaogua. Since you're married to me, I'll definitely treat you well. Tangwa felt that something was wrong. Why did this sound a little like the words of a scumbag? TXT 2016 website. Less than 100,000. After finishing this book, you can directly download TXT on your phone. Peak. Chapter 10:17. Tangwa stared at the marriage certificate for a long time. In the end, she confirmed that it was indeed a marriage certificate. However, she could conclude from that sentence that this handsome man did not marry her because he liked her. As for why, she still had no memory of it. Xiaogua, what's wrong? Tangwa shook her head and replied, Nothing. I've really made you too tired today. You married me without any preparation and even had to hold a wedding at the last minute. I've really let you down. Tangwa nodded. I'm indeed a little tired. I want to go back and rest first. The man held her hand. It could be seen that when he held her hand, there was some hesitation. In the end, he thought of something and held her tightly, bringing her into the car. After driving for half an hour, they walked into a small district. The man brought her to the house where she lived. From the door, it could be seen that this was a decorated door. It looked like there was indeed a wedding going on here. Walking into the house, the interior was also decorated. The man first brought her into the decorated new house. After taking a look, he brought her to another room. You probably don't like that place too much. Stay here. Tangwa did not refute. After the man left and closed the door, she began to recall the memories of this world. This was a very melodramatic marriage. This story was also a very melodramatic family drama. The man who spoke to her just now was the male lead of this world. His name was Luo Yiqing. Luo Yiqing was born in the countryside, and his family was not well off. However, he was smart since he was young. Through the hard work of his parents and sister, he was able to get out of the small mountain village and become the first university student there. It could be said that a pheasant had turned into a phoenix. However, it was not easy for a university student who did not have a foundation in the city to gain a foothold in a big city. Luo Yiqing was indeed a very hard-working person. According to his life plan, his future would definitely not be too bad. If his girlfriend was not in such a family during his university days, they would be happily enjoying their married life. Today was the day he married his university girlfriend. Their long-distance love, including their time as students, had already been 9 years. From the age of 18 to 27, the two of them had dedicated their youth to each other. It should be said that they were a very loving couple. But when living together, there would always be conflicts. This was a big city, so the housing prices were definitely not low. They fell in love in the first year of university. After subtracting the 4 years in university, Luo Yiqing only had 5 years left to work hard. In this city, Luo Yiqing was very ordinary. For the sake of their future, he had been waking up at 5 a.m. every day and going home at 9 p.m. for the past 5 years just to earn money so that he could settle down in this city. His future mother-in-law had already said that if he wanted to marry her daughter, he must have a 3-bedroom house in this city. Luo Yiqing felt that this request was really not excessive at all. Qian Beibei had been with him since the first year of university. She had stayed by his side even when he was working. He really had to work hard and buy a house in this city. This was for himself and for her. This was their future home. Therefore, he really worked hard. It only took him 5 years to buy a house in this city. The location and environment were very good. Qian Beibei's parents were very satisfied and finally agreed to their marriage. Baijio, Noo, Nob, O1C, Qian Beibei, supporting female lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room O1D, Gu, Noo, Excerpt Noo, Time Free 05, Read 002, The Peak. Chapter 1018. In addition to buying a house, he also bought a car. With his current position and the fact that he had to pick up his wife and children to work and go to school in the future, a car was a must. In this way, after deducting the money needed for the wedding, he had spent almost all of his savings over the past 5 years. Fortunately, he didn't ask his parents to subsidize him at all. It was all his work. In his free time, he worked overtime and did other things to earn it. From this, it could be seen that he was a very hardworking and good man who was willing to work hard. Everyone, including Luo Yiqing and Qian Beibei, thought that they were about to usher in a happy life. They never expected that there would be an accident at today's wedding. He drove excitedly and brought the groomsmen to Qian Beibei's house to get married. No matter how many red packets they threw in, the door still didn't open. In the end, the groomsmen asked what was going on, and the bridesmaids inside said that Niu Jinlan wanted to take Qian Beibei away and needed a betrothal gift of 660,000 yuan. When he heard this, Luo Yiqing's heart turned cold. He had worked hard and spent 5 years to settle down in this city. Finally, he could marry his sweetheart. This was clearly his mother-in-law Niu Jinlan's initial condition. He didn't refute it and thought that it was very reasonable. But when he bought a house and a car, he couldn't accept the betrothal gift of 660,000 yuan. At that time, he asked the Qian Beibei's family to come out and talk. They did come out, but Niu Jinlan still didn't relent. She said that if it wasn't 660,000 yuan, they wouldn't get married today. In the end, Luo Yiqing's gaze landed on Qian Beibei. He asked her, "Beibei, just tell me what you think. Are you going to get married today or not? We've been together for 9 years. The new year will be the 10th year. We've been together for so long. Are you really not going to marry me today, just because of this 660,000 yuan betrothal gift? If I, Luo Yiqing, had nothing today, no house, no car, no 5 years of struggle. If you want a betrothal gift, even if it is 1 million, I, Luo Yiqing, will accept it. Bei, you should know what kind of life I've been living these past 5 years, right? After buying the house and the car, the remaining money would be the money for our wedding. I really couldn't afford 660,000 yuan. I don't want to wait any longer, and neither do I want you to wait any longer. He had said so much, but he did not expect to receive such a reply from Qian Bei. I'll listen to my mother, Yiqing. My mother has high blood pressure, so I can only listen to her. I can't anger her. What if she gets sick because of anger? Later, Luo Yiqing said a lot. Qian Bei's parents were very agitated. Anyway, they were not allowed to get married if they could not pay 660,000 yuan. Luo Yiqing was so angry that his blood rushed up. He pulled his schoolmate, Tanghua, who had always been secretly in love with him, and asked her, I'll marry you. Are you willing? If you are, let's go. For a secret admirer, getting a response naturally made him overjoyed. He did not think about anything else and left with Luo Yiqing. They rented a wedding dress at the last minute, took wedding photos, and held the wedding as usual. It was a hasty wedding. The guests had strange expressions, and the people involved were not very happy. Qian Bei chased after them and said that Luo Yiqing was crazy. Luo Yiqing was really mad. He thought that Qian Bei did not believe him, so he pulled Tanghua to get the marriage certificate on the spot. In the end, Qian Bei was so angry that he left. Then, it was the scene when Tanghua came to this world. Baijio, Noo, Nob, O1C, Fastware, Supporting Female Lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room O1D, Gu, Noo, Section Noo, Time Free 05, Read 002, Peak. Chapter 1019. As for the subsequent development, Qian Bei couldn't bear to part with Luo Yiqing, and Luo Yiqing couldn't let go of Qian Bei either. These two people who were originally in love had Qian Bei's parents between them, and now Tanghua. She happily agreed to Luo Yiqing, thinking that the attitude of the Qian Bei and the Qian family had hurt Luo Yiqing. Even if Luo Yiqing didn't like her that much now, they were already married. After getting along with each other slowly, they would definitely develop feelings for each other. However, the reality was not as she thought. Luo Yiqing couldn't forget Qian Bei. Even though he had promised her many times, he still couldn't forget her. At first, he said that they would get along with each other slowly, so they slept in their own room. Later, this continued. Qian Bei and Luo Yiqing still accidentally bumped into each other and had all kinds of disputes. She didn't know. She only thought that Luo Yiqing would slowly change, forget Qian Bei, and spend the rest of his life with her. She was the daughter of a rich family. Her family was very angry about her choice, but there was nothing they could do. After all, they were already married. They could only accept it. Moreover, Luo Yiqing was really good enough. She didn't know that Luo Yiqing's heart softened when he saw Qian Bei's pitiful appearance. When he heard Qian Bei say that he was afraid of angering Niu Jinlan and his family, he had no choice but to compromise. In fact, if she really wanted to leave with him, he couldn't wait to turn back time. Therefore, he secretly saved money and never gave it to Tanghua. In fact, they were just partners in the name of husband and wife, living under the same roof. When he saved 1 million yuan, he went to Niu Jinlan's house and proposed to marry Qian Bei. Niu Jinlan looked at the betrothal gift of 1 million yuan. She was very happy. In addition, Luo Yiqing's career had improved over the years. She opened her own company and made more money. He had also bought a house in another place. Perhaps in another 2 years, he would have bought a big villa. Qian Bei's family felt that they could not miss this opportunity. They did not care whether he was engaged to Tanghua or not, so they agreed. Niu Jinlan soon thought of this and asked Luo Yiqing, "What about Tanghua? I'll make things clear to her. Divorce. Actually, nothing has happened between us for the past 2 years. I've never been able to let go of Bei. What about your house?" Niu Jinlan asked in surprise. "What about your house after your divorce? We definitely have to share half of this with her." Regardless of whether Tanghua was the daughter of a rich family or not, The house he bought later and the property he transferred later belonged to the property after marriage. Half of it must be given to Tanghua. Niu Jinlan was unhappy. No, those things belong to Bei Bei. How can you give them to another woman? Anyway, if you divorce, she will leave with nothing. The house, car, and savings can only belong to Bei Bei. Qian Bei tried to persuade her, but Niu Jinlan refused to budge. Anyway, if they wanted to get married, Tanghua would have to leave that house without taking anything. In the end, true love trumped everything. Luo Yiqing agreed. What followed next was Tangua's darkening moment. She refused to divorce no matter what, and even went to look for Qian Bei. She used her aura to overwhelm Qian Bei. In short, Luo Yiqing would see her every time and successfully save the damsel in distress. Luo Yiqing's initial guilt turned into displeasure and impatience. She became the catalyst for their relationship. Because of her, their relationship became better and better. In the end, she got into a fight with Qian Bei on the street. She accidentally fell and was hit by a car. Her legs were crippled and she had to leave the scene sadly. Chapter 1020. Qian Bei and Luo Yiqing regretted for a period of time, got married, and lived happily ever after. After Tanghua finished reading, she didn't say anything. The system spoke weakly. Host, do you have any thoughts about this world? No. In this world, everyone was at fault. What she wanted to do was to change her fate of becoming a disabled person and then enjoy this world. Of course, teaching Luo Yiqing a lesson was a must. Revenge was something she would never forget. Compared to the previous world, this world was simply giving her a vacation. The system could feel that Tanghua was in a good mood and asked hesitantly then, Host, do you want to look for that guy? If there is fate, he will naturally appear. Tanghua smiled. I believe that he will definitely appear. After all, this is his setting. Setting? This was the first time he had heard of such a thing. Did host mean that he had appeared every time? He asked his question. Unexpectedly, Tanghua nodded. Yes, he has appeared in every world that I have passed through. Since the day I awakened, his attitude towards me has changed. From being cold, uncaring, and heartless at the start, to now he is like a little wolf dog, asking for a bone the moment he sees me. System. Oh my God, what kind of damned analogy is this? He didn't ask why Tanghua was still willing to fall in love with him, even if she knew that this guy wasn't simple, and was perhaps the main culprit that caused her to transmigrate to these worlds. Because his host didn't have any moral integrity. That was that. As long as the other party didn't have his original memories, she wouldn't know what he had done. She would first fall in love and have fun. So this was his great host. Then what about Luo Yiqing? The system asked weakly. He didn't think that host would be so magnanimous. The original host didn't think twice before getting married to someone she had a crush on, but after marriage, Luo Yiqing's actions were indeed disgusting. Since he couldn't forget about Qian Bei now, he might as well bring up the divorce earlier. At least he was a responsible man. On one hand, he wanted to marry a wife to give him face and prevent himself from being laughed at. On the other hand, he couldn't forget about Qian Bei. In the end, he was both a man and a woman. If he hadn't said that he wanted to marry Tanghua, even if Tanghua had a crush on him, she wouldn't have made the decision so quickly. Because at that time, Tanghua was facing the person she had a crush on. The other party had said those words to her in such a difficult situation. If she agreed, Luo Yiqing's face would be stabilized. If she didn't agree, Luo Yiqing would lose a lot of face. In the future, she would never be able to raise her head in front of these people. Speaking of which, she might have agreed immediately because she didn't want him to lose face again. To be honest, that was a difficult problem for her. It was because she liked him that she agreed. If it weren't for that environment, she might not have agreed. So, Luo Yiqing really made a big mistake. The system secretly thought that the host wouldn't let him off so easily. The host was a person who would take revenge if there was a grudge. And Qian Bei, since he was so unyielding on the day of the wedding and listened to his mother's words, then after they got married, he still came up to her. It could be said that he was very shameless. Perhaps, in the eyes of this kind of person, true love trumped everything. The system secretly analyzed. Baijio, Noo, Nob, 01C. Fastware. Supporting female lead. Calm down claw book room 01D. Goo. Woo. Excerpt no. Time free 05. Read 002. Peak. Chapter 1021. He didn't believe that his host would live a simple life in this world. Just wait and see. His host had a lot of tricks up her sleeve. He sneaked a peek at Luo Yiqing in the room next door. He actually found a photo of Qian Beibei in his phone. Looking at the photo reminded him of Qian Beibei. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Host, do you want to go and comfort Luo Yiqing? According to his host's usual routine, to deal with someone like Luo Yiqing, she definitely had to use a psychological attack. First, she had to let him get used to her. Then, he would like her without knowing it. Once she left, he would never be able to get back. Then, she would see his regretful expression. That would be really, really cool. However, he waited for a long time, but Tangwa didn't seem to have any intention of doing so. Was his host's behavior not in line with her character? Why should I go and comfort him? Tangwa was puzzled. The system said somewhat anxiously. Psychological attack. The person he likes isn't me. Why do you have to use psychological attack? Tangwa lay comfortably on the bed. It's quite tiring. This world is so safe and relaxing. I don't want to do those things. Luo Yiqing can miss whoever he wants. As long as he dares to have private contact with Qian Beibei, even if they're married. If he dares to have intimate contact with another woman, it's considered cheating. So, what does the host mean? The system felt that it wasn't that simple. Did the host think that Luo Yiqing wasn't worthy of her using a psychological attack? Of course, I'm going to make him earn more money. When we get a divorce, I'll show evidence of his infidelity. Then, I can get a large portion of his assets. The system's string of data shook. He knew that the host was especially bad. She was really the kind of bad. Tangwa smiled. Just by moving my lips and saying a few words, I can make him work harder and earn more money. When I get a divorce, I can get a large sum of money. System, unable to communicate. Dear host, don't forget that although your family isn't the richest, you're still the daughter of a rich family who owns 6 or 7 properties and 2 or 3 shops in this city. You can just do nothing but eat and wait for death. Why do you want money? His host had changed a lot. He had become so greedy. That's my premarital property. Who says you can't love money when you're rich? Who would complain about having more money? Tangwa got up from the bed. You're right. We should comfort Luo Yiqing. His ability to make money is not bad. Every day he's depressed is a day of delay. I don't know how much money he will miss. I'll order takeout first. I remember that he didn't eat much today. I'll give him some warmth. Only by eating and drinking well can he have a strong body. Only then can he work hard to earn money. System, money, money, money. She only cares about money. There are so many valuable treasures in the system space, but I've never seen her care about them. He finally understood that his host didn't want to use the same old tricks this time. Actually, when he thought about it, Luo Yiqing and Qian Beibei had been together for 9 years. The depth of their feelings was incomparable. Unless today's marriage ceremony happened a few more times, there was a limit to a person's patience and tolerance. Luo Yiqing would only give up on Qian Beibei after exhausting her last feelings. As long as Qian Beibei didn't make any big mistakes, in Luo Yiqing's heart, she would always be the most important one. Moreover, the reason why they weren't together now was because of Qian Beibei's family, not Qian Beibei himself. Baijio, Noo, Nob, 01C, Qian Beibei, supporting female lead, calm down claw book room 01D, Goo, Qian Beibei, time free 05, read 002, peak. Chapter 1022. Even if the host gave thousands of sincerity, Luo Yiqing would not forget Qian Beibei. On the contrary, Qian Beibei would become more and more important. He already knew that Tangwa liked him, and it was useless to move her with feelings. The host was smart enough to see through it at a glance. Tangwa ordered a sumptuous takeout. About half an hour later, there was a knock on the door. When Tangwa walked out of the room to get the takeout, Luo Yiqing also heard the noise and came out of the room. Looking at the takeout in Tangwa's hand, he remembered that she didn't eat much today, and his eyes were a little apologetic. Sorry, I didn't think so much. It's okay. I also ordered your share. Tangwa put the takeout on the table, looked up at Luo Yiqing and smiled. Come and eat? I'm not hungry. You have to eat even if you're not hungry. Your body can't bear it. Tangwa persuaded. If your body can't bear it, how can you work in a few days? So many things have happened, and you can't be decadent for the rest of your life, right? Luo Yiqing walked to the side of the table and sat down, but he still didn't want to eat. Take care of your body and work hard. You're so excellent, and it's already amazing that you can get to this point in just 5 years. It's only a matter of time before you succeed. The disappointment in Luo Yiqing's eyes lessened, and there was a little more fighting spirit. Tangwa was right. He was indeed much better than many people. Niu Jinlan looked down on your background, and today she asked you for 660,000 yuan on the spot. This is called short-sighted. Everyone knows that Luo Yiqing is a potential stock. As long as you have time, you won't be bad in the future. Luo Yiqing was encouraged and was already eating. Even if he was not in a good mood, after listening to Tangwa's words, his appetite was better. At this moment, he already felt a little uncomfortable in his stomach. He looked at the porridge in the bowl, and his heart warmed. He looked at Tangwa with a little more apologetic eyes. He'd always known that this rich girl liked him, but he'd been with Bei Bei since his first year of university. After the other party found out that he had a girlfriend, she calmly apologized and left. But her love for him had never changed. During her 4 years in university, Tangwa had never had a boyfriend. Today, he had asked her if she wanted to marry him on a whim. Now that he thought about it, he felt a little regretful. That's right. Now that you're full, go take a shower and have a good sleep. Tomorrow is a brand new day. Tangwa smiled. After 2 days of rest, you can go to work energetically. System. Does working earn you money? Luo Yiqing nodded firmly. I will. Since he had already married her, he would try to forget Qian Beibei. Since Qian Beibei had chosen her mother, he had nothing to say. He couldn't let Qian Beibei bear the reputation of being unfilial just because they were going to marry each other, right? If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself for not being capable enough to make Niu Jinlan unhappy. Thinking about Tangwa's words of encouragement, his previous frustration disappeared. The speed at which they ate was much faster. After eating, Luo Yiqing watched as Tangwa put the trash away at the door. He felt even more sorry for this girl who really liked him. After thinking about it, he took out one of his credit cards and handed it to her. Right now, he really couldn't accept being with her. He needed some time. Although I know that you don't lack money, and I don't have much money either, this is my attitude. Peak. Chapter 10:23. Luo Yiqing looked very sincere. Keep this card. In the future, half of my monthly salary will be transferred here. You can use it for anything you want. As for our relationship, I think it will take some time. Tangwa paused for a moment before accepting it. All right, I'll wait for you to figure it out. Luo Yiqing let out a long sigh. The guilt in her heart could not dissipate. I will forget her as soon as possible. I will not have anything to do with her in the future. I am really sorry for what happened today. No matter how meticulously this wedding was prepared, it was not prepared for her. Now that Luo Yiqing thought about it, he felt that it was a little absurd that she had married him in such a dubious manner. Tangwa took the card and went back to her room happily. Not long after, her phone rang. It was her mother. She picked it up and scolded her. Tangwa just listened and didn't say a word. Without any discussion, she went home, brought out her household register, and got married to a man. What's more, she was holding the wedding on behalf of a bride who was unwilling to get married. As a member of the Tang family, of course, they would be angry and scold her. It was very normal. Xiaogua, why don't you think about such a big thing? Mom knows that you like Luo Yiqing. He is indeed outstanding. But no matter how much you like him, you can't be with him like this. Plus, Mrs. Tang couldn't continue. Plus, this man originally liked Qian Beibei. Because of Tangwa, she had done some research on Luo Yiqing. Sometimes, she regretted that her daughter had not met such a man first. Although it was regretful, she had never thought of breaking up the couple. But what did she hear today? When Qian Beibei's mother went to the south to pick up the bride, she asked Luo Yiqing to fork out 660,000 yuan as a betrothal gift. She thought it was too much. Luo Yiqing, a young man from the countryside, only spent 5 years to buy a house, a car, and a wedding. It was already very good. Even the young people in the city who didn't have any connections in their families couldn't reach this level. If Niu Jinlan was not satisfied with such a son-in-law, she did not know what to say. However, this did not mean that her precious daughter would rush to get married if Qian Beibei did not marry Luo Yiqing, right? What was this? Xiaoguo liked Luo Yiqing, but Luo Yiqing didn't like her. Xiaoguo had made this request in a fit of anger. Xiaoguo didn't expect this stupid girl to agree. By the time she found out about this, the two of them would have already gotten their marriage certificate. It would really be too late. Xiaoguo, are you really going to hang yourself on the tree that is Luo Yiqing? Mother Tang angrily scolded. She was afraid that Tangguo really wouldn't understand, so her tone softened a lot. What can't be discussed? You're already married, and you've even gotten your marriage certificate. Don't you want to leave yourself a way out? Tangguo saw that it was about time and said, Mom, don't worry. How can I not worry? My own daughter got married to a man without saying a word. As a parent, I wasn't even present at the wedding. You are afraid that Luo Yiqing will be embarrassed, but have you thought about your own face? There was no ceremony. You just got married when he wanted to. What will Luo Yiqing's family and relatives think of you in the future? Seeing that Mother Tang was about to get angry again, Tangguo quickly comforted her. Mom, don't worry. I won't be bullied. The original owner of the body did this to anger the two of them. Baijio, Noo, Nob, O1C, Fastware, Supporting Female Lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room 01D, Gu, Noo, Excerpt, Noo, Time Free 05, Reading 002, The Peak. Chapter 1024. Mrs. Tang said a few more things over the phone. Thinking of her daughter's stubbornness, she said helplessly, Forget it. Bring Luo Yiqing home tomorrow. Her daughter was stubborn. If she was pushed too hard, she didn't know what she would do. Okay, Tangguo agreed. Originally, there was such a thing, but the original owner of the body was afraid that Luo Yiqing would be bullied by the Tang family, so she didn't agree to Mrs. Tang's request. Because of this, she became estranged from her family. When there was a conflict, she couldn't find anyone to talk to. Luo Yiqing was a good person at the moment, but his mother and sister were not so good. Later on, they did criticize the original owner of the body, but the original owner of the body was a rich young lady. How could she swallow her anger? Therefore, no matter how Luo Yiqing's mother and sister criticized her, she didn't feel much. At most, she would ignore the other party. The person she cared about was Luo Yiqing. Because she was not liked by Luo Yiqing's family, a series of things happened later on and she was completely defeated. Even though she was still married to Luo Yiqing, his mother couldn't wait to hold Qian Beibei's hand and call her daughter-in-law. She told everyone she met that Qian Beibei was her daughter-in-law. Tangguo held her chin and narrowed her eyes. I can't just let it go like this. System, I knew it. The host just didn't remember. When she remembers, she will definitely settle the score. Luo Yiqing's mother and sister didn't come to the wedding today. Their original plan was to hold the wedding in the city and then hold another one in their hometown. Otherwise, based on Mrs. Luo's temper, she would definitely make a big fuss and embarrass Qian Beibei's family. Mrs. Luo was supposed to call today to ask Luo Yiqing if the wedding went well and take some photos for her. She also wanted to see photos of her son and daughter-in-law's wedding. Luo Yiqing didn't even think about taking photos today. However, Tangguo had a few photos with her. At that time, she rejected the photos out of consideration for Luo Yiqing. He also told Luo Yiqing that he would tell Mother Luo about it later. In the end, Luo Yiqing's mother didn't think that this matter was serious, and Luo Yiqing's anger was almost gone. Mrs. Luo thought that Qian Beibei's parents were too much, but her son was outstanding. Even if Qian Beibei's parents didn't like him, weren't their girls rushing to marry him? Tangguo calculated the time and heard Luo Yiqing's voice from next door. It sounded like she was talking to Mother Luo. Sure enough, not long after, the door to her room rang. Luo Yiqing opened the door and said, Do you have any photos? What picture? It's a picture of us at the wedding. Tangguo took out her phone and said, Yes? Then give me a few of them. Okay, Tangguo replied. She didn't have any intention of stopping him. After picking out a few good photos, she asked in a low voice, "Who are they for?" "My mother. She said that she wants to see my wedding photos. She also asked me to discuss when we should go back to our hometown to hold the wedding." As he spoke, he showed her the photos. Tangwa asked again, "Your mother should have seen Qian Beibei before. How do you explain that the people in the wedding photos are different?" Luo Yiqing frowned. It was a little difficult. He couldn't just say that the Qian Beibei's family looked down on him and asked him to give 660,000 yuan as a betrothal gift on the spot. He had no choice but to marry another girl on the spot, right? Chapter 1025. This would be bad for both Qian Beibei and Tangwa. His mother would think that Qian Beibei was snobbish and would hate Qian Beibei. At the same time, she would think that Tangwa was a cheap person and would rush to marry him. "I'll say that Qian Beibei and I have already broken up and that you are the one who is going to get married. When I informed my mother about the wedding, I only said that we were getting married and didn't mention Beibei's name." Tangwa was in a good mood when she saw that she had achieved her goal. Okay, let's say that. If she knows the truth, she will be so angry that she will hurt her body. Luo Yiqing's gaze softened. When his mother called and asked why the bride wasn't Qian Beibei, he repeated what he said just now. "Mom, don't worry. She is a good girl. She has never despised us for being poor or my family background." "Then when are you coming back to hold the wedding? Everyone in the village is waiting." Tangwa saw that Luo Yiqing was in a difficult position. She tugged at him and whispered in his ear, "Then let them discuss a date. Once they are done, we will go back to the village to hold the wedding." 1 ton and 1 t/I, Mom. Why don't you discuss the date with eldest sister and the village chief? Once you have discussed it, we will come back on time. What do you think? Mother Luo looked at her beautiful daughter-in-law and heard a very pleasant voice. She was in a good mood. She was prettier than Qian Beibei. From her son's tone, she seemed to have a good character. She was polite and didn't look down on their village at all. She even let them arrange the date. She seemed to be a city girl who was easy to get along with. Actually, she had been dissatisfied with the Qian Beibei family for a long time. Qian Beibei was still okay. Qian Beibei's mother, Niu Jinlan, insisted that her son buy a house and pay for it in full before she agreed to the marriage. However, Luo Yiqing liked Qian Beibei. She couldn't say that her son liked her and get into a conflict with him. "All right, I'll discuss this matter with the villagers later. When the time comes, we'll have a lively celebration. When the date has been decided, I'll let you know." Luo Yiqing remembered that there were always marriages in the countryside. She hurriedly said to her mother, "Mom, Xiaoguo is a city girl. She has different customs and habits. Let's not talk about marriage. We just want to have a lively wedding. Don't do anything else." "I know. Don't worry. Do you think your mother is a fool? What if you scare the little girls in the city?" Luo Yiqing breathed a sigh of relief and asked Tangwa to talk to her mother. Tangwa was talking about the good things. She called her mother happily, which made Mother Luo smile. She didn't look domineering at all. The system quietly observed from the side, feeling that the host was secretly preparing to do something big. First, she said that she wanted to encourage Luo Yiqing to start her own business. Now, she was just moving her lips and coaxing Mother Luo into a happy mood. The system's data shook. He seemed to understand something. The host was going to break up the couple. Hearing Tangwa talk about the specialties of the countryside like they were her family treasures and talking about the things that Mother Luo had in the countryside, he was already speechless. Without leaving a trace, she made Mother Luo's impression of her better by 3 points. "Mom, I have a shop that specializes in specialties. They are all local specialties of the countryside. They are especially popular with the people in the city." Tangwa said with a smile, "So, I think that there are really good treasures in the countryside. Isn't that so? For example, those old hens in our backyard can't be compared to those chicken farms. Baijio, Noo, Nob, O1C, Fastware, Supporting Female Lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room O1D, Gu, Noo, Excerpt Noo, Time Free 05, Read 002, Peak. Chapter 1026. My daughter, when you come to the countryside, my mother will kill a few to nourish your body. After hanging up the phone, Luo Yiqing was a little surprised. Do you really have this kind of business in your shop? Yes, Tanghua said. There are specialized people who go to the countryside to buy local specialties, and it's very popular. Luo Yiqing remembered that Tanghua was going to have a wedding with him in the countryside. Since they were already married, this wedding must be well prepared. He could not treat her badly. Thinking of how happily she talked with his mother, he suddenly felt that it was not bad to have such a person in his life. By the way, my mother just called and asked me to take you home tomorrow, Tanghua said. You don't have to be afraid. They won't dare to do anything to you. Yiqing, since you asked me that question today, I promise you, from today onwards, we are husband and wife. Even if it takes time, we are already legally married. I can give you a week to think about it. Think about it. If you think that we can't live together, and you still can't forget Qian Beibei, then we can go for a divorce. But tomorrow, you still have to go home with me and give me an explanation. Got it. After Luo Yiqing left, Tanghua lay on the bed again. She closed her eyes comfortably and smiled. She opened the group chat and greeted her friends in the group. She also told them the story of this place. When they heard that it was a melodramatic drama, they did not care much. This kind of melodramatic family drama was not exciting for them at all. However, they still wanted to know what Tanghua wanted to do next. Not much. I have a lot of properties and shops under my name. I can eat and wait for death. Luo Yiqing is good at making money. He should be able to make a lot of money. He will give half of his salary to me every month. Mo Yuntian did not believe it and asked, Sister, based on my understanding of you, it shouldn't be that simple, right? Ziyun, yes, I also think it's not simple. Everyone else agreed. It was so simple that it did not fit the image of the school bell. Actually, it's nothing. I will be a very qualified wife while Luo Yiqing and I are married. I encourage my husband to work hard, be filial to my in-laws, and be friendly to others. In the eyes of countless people, I am especially perfect. System, crazy. At some point, Piao Fairy also floated out and said, School bell, are you planning to let everyone think that you are the most perfect? After divorcing Luo Yiqing, Qian Beibei and Luo Yiqing get married. Everyone will think that she is not perfect and can't compare to you. No matter how much Luo Yiqing likes her, he can't help but compare you to her. School bell, I think my guess is correct, right? If that was the case, then the school bell was really as sinister as before. Or rather, she was getting more sinister with each passing year. Everyone in the group fell into silence. They all said in their hearts, so sinister. She was clearly just acting well, as if she did not do anything. She also did not target Luo Yiqing and Qian Beibei. However, in the end, the two of them could not get anything good out of it. The school bell's vengeful personality was really the same for hundreds of years. System, I forgot to cut the grass. Host, you are very sinister. After ending the chat with the little friends in the group, the system could not help but ask, Host, is it true? Is this your plan? Baigio, Noo, Nob, O1C, Fastware, Supporting Female Lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room O1D, Goo, Noo, Section Noo, Time Free 05, Read 002. Chapter 1027. Can I? System. No, you can say whatever you want. He just wanted to express that this was really bad and sinister. Did I do anything to them? No, I just did a good job. Is that wrong? That's right. Whatever the host does is always right. Then what are you doubting? I won't say anything bad about Qian Beibei, nor will I scold Luo Yiqing. I just want to be a perfect person that everyone likes. What's wrong with that? No, there's nothing wrong at all. Everything you do is right. That's it then. Judging from your tone, it sounds like I've done something incredible and crazy. System, not at all. He was just curious. If Qian Beibei really doesn't want to get involved with Luo Yiqing and finds a tall, rich, and handsome man, what I did wouldn't affect her, right? If Luo Yiqing comes to his senses a week later and thinks that he was acting on impulse and chooses to apologize to me, compensate me, and divorce me in the end, what I've done won't have any impact, right? system. But, according to the law, people don't turn back until they hit a wall. As long as one of them is clear-headed, nothing bad will happen. So what does it have to do with me? System suddenly wanted to ask. Host, if Luo Yiqing wants to live happily with you, doesn't divorce you, and plans to forget about Qian Beibei, wouldn't you be in trouble? What should he do? Just thinking about that outcome made him a little excited. He was sure that Luo Yiqing, this man, would not be able to move his great host. With Qian Beibei around, do you think it's possible? As if a basin of cold water had been poured over the system, its excitement was not extinguished. Yes, there was also Qian Beibei. In fact, Qian Beibei liked Luo Yiqing very much. However, due to the pressure from his family, he had no choice but to give up Luo Yiqing's Qian Beibei at such an important time on the wedding day. Qian Beibei clearly knows that Niu Jinlan wants to buy a house for her son, who is her younger brother, Qianqing. In this city, which girl would be willing to go on a blind date without a house? No matter how wronged she felt in her heart, she still refused to marry Luo Yiqing on the wedding day, even though she knew that 660,000 yuan of betrothal money was to subsidize her brother. In the end, Luo Yiqing actually forgave him. In the future, she continued to subsidize her brother, Qian Chengqing. If it weren't for Luo Yiqing's ability to make money and her love for Qian Beibei, she would have fallen out with him long ago. Tanghua was silent for a moment. All in all, if I didn't cause trouble, their relationship wouldn't be so deep. It was Tanghua who was too persistent and cared too much about Luo Yiqing. In addition, she was unwilling to give up. That was why Luo Yiqing and Qian Beibei rekindled their old love, even more fiercely than before. No one could stop them. Most people's love will be broken easily if they haven't experienced setbacks. Without my interference, I would like to see how far they can go. The Niu family is a family that sucks the blood of their daughters. How is the Luo family not the same? Father Luo died early. If it weren't for the sacrifice of the eldest sister of the Luo family, would an 18-year-old girl be able to sell out Luo Yiqing when she married a 30-year-old man who sold his body? The difference was that Luo Yiqing was the beneficiary, while Qian Beibei was the victim. Perhaps this was the cycle of cause and effect. Luo Yiqing and Qian Beibei were together, so she had to be the victim, the one whose blood was sucked out. Baijio, Noo, Nob, O1C, Qian Beibei, supporting female lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room 01D, Gu, Noo, Excerpt Noo, Time Free 05, Reading 002, The Peak. Chapter 1028. The next day, Tanghua brought Luo Yiqing back to the family Tang. After being interrogated by the family Tang, he said that he would always be good to Tanghua, and that everything in the past was in the past. The family Tang reluctantly let him off and did not make things difficult for him. No matter what, it was their family Tang daughter's choice. If they really made things difficult for him, they did not know what would happen between them and Tanghua. Now that they were married and registered, they planned to wait and see. Feelings could indeed be cultivated. Moreover, they felt that the Qian family's actions hurt Luo Yiqing so much that he would not go to Qian Beibei again. When he forgot about Qian Beibei, maybe he would really have feelings for Tanghua after spending a long time with her. If they really could not get along, their family Tang daughter would not have to worry about marriage. They could just get a divorce and let Tanghua have a taste of her own medicine. With them behind her back, she would not be bullied. 1/T, I and 1/T/I therefore, when they heard that Luo Yiqing planned to hold a wedding in their hometown, the family Tang members agreed and said that they wanted to go too. Luo Yiqing saw that the family Tang valued Tanghua so much and thought that people really could not be compared with each other. He could not refuse this matter, so he had to agree. After he left, he called Mother Luo to discuss it. When Mother Luo heard that the family Tang members were coming to the village, she was really nervous and excited. The parents of the city girl were willing to come to such a poor place like theirs. It was obvious how much they valued their daughter. Immediately, Tanghua's status in Mother Luo's heart rose again. Tanghua watched all these developments and contacted a lawyer who did not have a good reputation in the industry but was very good at doing things. He helped her with the property planning and other things. She doesn't care about these properties, but she can't stand Niu Jinlan's shamelessness. In addition, Luo Yiqing's IQ was eaten by a dog in the end. She really listened to Niu Jinlan and wanted to divide the properties of both sides fairly. Originally, Niu Jinlan had planned to let Tanghua leave with nothing. Later, she heard that Tanghua had many shops and properties under her name. She couldn't take the property, but Tanghua was the one who ran the shops. During their marriage, they had to split the profits equally. Even if Luo Yiqing later opened a company, it was still in the initial stage. How could it have more properties under her name? She didn't want to give a penny to Luo Yiqing. She loved money all her life. System, that's because your cutie didn't show up. The two parties agreed to meet at a coffee shop. When Tanghua arrived, the other party was already waiting. However, his back was facing her, so she couldn't see his face for the time being. She walked to her seat and asked, "Are you Lawyer Gu? Miss Tang?" The man stood up and looked at Tanghua with a smile. He stretched out his hand and gently shook Tanghua's hand. "I'm Gu Yi. Miss Tang wants to have the property notarized?" "Yes." "Okay, no problem." Tanghua's gaze was fixed on this handsome man. The corners of her lips curved upwards. "But I'm married. We just got our marriage certificate a few days ago. Miss Tang, you should know that it's best to have the property notarized before marriage." Gu Yi narrowed his eyes and explained. Tanghua smiled. Lawyer Gu said it's best. He didn't deny that it's not allowed after marriage. "Since I found Lawyer Gu, I believe that you can help me with it. Lawyer Gu is here today, so he must have done a lot of work. As for the fact that I'm married, you should know. In that case, Miss Tang, let's talk about the price of the property notarized after marriage." Chapter 1029. You can name the price. As long as Luo Yiqing doesn't get a single cent from me after the divorce, I won't give him a single word. That's all. Gu Ye's forehead twitched. He muttered in his heart, why did she still want to get married when her attitude was like that of an enemy? Only after marriage did she want to do the notarization. He really didn't know how these rich girls' brains worked. Lawyer Gu. Tanghua supported her chin and asked with a smile, "Can you do it?" "No problem. Since Miss Tang is so generous, I'll make sure it's perfect. Also, as long as Miss Tang pays a certain amount every year, you'll have no worries for the rest of your life." System. I found a guy who loves money more than the host. Tanghua looked at Gu Yi, who was recording something, and suddenly asked, "I heard from a good friend that Lawyer Gu occasionally has a side job, like being a private investigator?" "That's right." Gu Yi didn't deny it. He put away the document and looked at her seriously. "It's not easy to survive in the big city. If you're unlucky, you'll be looked down on by your mother-in-law, and you won't be able to find a wife. There's nothing wrong with earning more money." Gu Ye's lips curved into a smile. When he saw Tanghua transfer the deposit to him, his attitude became much better and his voice became much gentler. It was like the voice of a dream lover. If it weren't for the fact that the word money almost fell out of his eyes, one would really think that he was pursuing Tanghua. System. What a money grubber. I've seen it for myself. He's even more money grubber than the host. His face changed too quickly. He went from a cold and aloof Prince Charming to a bootlicker in an instant. "I have a business here that I want Lawyer Gu to do." Tanghua lowered her voice and said, "Help me keep an eye on Luo Yiqing until I divorce him. Take photos of any evidence of him being with a woman." "Miss Tang, your way of thinking is really unique. Forgive me for not understanding." She had just gotten married, but she wanted to spy on her husband and hope for a divorce. Moreover, he had inquired about this Luo Yiqing. She came from a grassroots background and was quite capable. His ability to earn money and his wealth couldn't compare to this person in front of him. He really didn't understand why she would do such senseless things. Of course, this was just a thought in his heart. In fact, he hoped that the rich would be bored every day. When the rich were bored, he would have money to earn. "No problem." Gu Yi quoted the price. "I can send someone to follow Luo Yiqing and monitor his every move to collect evidence of his infidelity in the future. The price is 50,000 yuan a month. Would Miss Tang like to pay for 1 month or 3 months in advance?" 1 year. Gu Ye's smile widened. "Then I'll give Miss Tang a discount. How about $595,000 a year?" System. Only 5,000 yuan? He was indeed stingy and stingy. Only a ghost would fancy such a man. Tangwa straightforwardly transferred $555,000 to Luo Yicheng. After receiving the money, Guyi was puzzled. Luo Yicheng couldn't even afford $100,000, let alone $550,000, right? He really didn't understand. This Tangwa must have eaten her fill and had nothing better to do. She must be playing detective with Luo Yicheng. Of course, when he investigated the reason for Tangwa and Luo Yicheng's marriage, he immediately overturned this idea. When they met again, he looked at Tangwa with a gaze full of sympathy. This time, he gave the notarial certificate of property to Tangwa. Miss Tang, since you've taken care of my business so much, I'm prepared to give you a set meal system. To think that this stingy guy would be willing to part with it. Fastware, supporting female lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room 01D, Gu, Woo. Excerpt No. Time Free 05. Read 002, Peak. Chapter 1030. What package? Tangwa asked curiously. Guyi had a gentle smile on his face. If the system didn't know that he was looking at Tangwa for a pile of money, it would have thought that he was a man who was infatuated with his host. A package that allows you to transfer your assets for free for the rest of your life. Guyi touched his nose. He felt that this package was really suitable for Tangwa. He had been collecting all kinds of information and investigating Luo Yicheng over the past few days. He found that this person was quite good at making money. According to his professional analysis, this man called Luo Yicheng would definitely have a big breakthrough within 3 years. And all the shops under Tangwa's name were very profitable. If she planned to buy new real estate in the future, and if she wanted to get a divorce in the future, she would definitely want to transfer her assets. After thinking about it, he felt that this package was very suitable for her. 1I and 1/I, Tangwa smiled. Lawyer Gu is really thoughtful. The customer is God. Miss Tang, you are my customer. When I consider the problem, I will definitely give you a package with your interests in mind. Thank you, Lawyer Gu. I accept this package. You're welcome. Gu Yi was full of smiles. If you want to file a lawsuit in the future, Miss Tang, you can come to me. I will give you a discount. Tangwa couldn't help but ask, is it the discount of 5,000 yuan? Gu Ye's smile froze for a moment. He said seriously, 5,000 yuan is already a lot. Most people only earn about 5,000 yuan a month. Since Miss Tang is a regular customer, I can give you another 5,000 yuan discount. Gu Yi also seemed to feel a little embarrassed that the discount was only 5,000 yuan. After all, the person in front of him was his regular customer, the god of fortune. 1I and 1/I system. No, I'm dying of laughter. Anything is fine. Tangwa didn't care about this 5,000 yuan more or 5,000 yuan less. For her, money can really be regarded as dung. Even if it was dung, she was not willing to let disgusting people take a single cent from her. I still have something to do, so I won't chat with Lawyer Gu for long. If there is any new news, I hope Lawyer Gu can inform me immediately. Gu Yi smiled. Of course, I won't disappoint Miss Tang. In the end, Tangwa glanced at him with a smile. Gu Yi was a little confused by the look in her eyes. Including this time, they had only met twice, right? Why was there something wrong with the way Miss Tang was looking at him? As for what was wrong, he couldn't tell. He only felt that her gaze was filled with deep meaning. The carefree system didn't notice, but it knew that its host was in a good mood. Seeing that Tangwa was driving to a housekeeping company instead of going home, she couldn't help but ask, "Host, what are you doing at a housekeeping company?" "Of course, I will hire an excellent nanny." "Do you want me to cook for Luo Yicheng?" The system's voice was a little weak. "All right, you do need to hire a nanny, and one who is good at everything." His host's fingers were as white as snow. How could she cook, mop the floor, and do laundry? After an hour, Tangwa chose a nanny from the housekeeping company who she thought was good. She called her Annie Sue. She drove here today and directly brought the nanny home. She had the nanny confirm the location so that she could come every day to clean the house and cook lunch and dinner. Chapter 1031. She would inform them of what to eat the day before. She didn't even need them to buy groceries. She could just order online. "Annie Sue, I'll give you what you want to eat for lunch and dinner in advance. The food is ordered online and will be delivered to your house before 10 in the morning. Auntie Sue nodded quickly. She was still a little happy. Just by cooking, cleaning, and washing the things in the house, she could earn tens of thousands of yuan a month. One had to know that in this city, only the confinement nanny could reach this salary. She came from the countryside. She was nimble, serious, and hardworking. She came to this city to be a nanny solely to support her 2 children in college. People of her age were uneducated, and her body couldn't stand the fatigue of the factory for a long time. She could only do nannies. Because of her good performance, she received a lot of good reviews, and the company paid more and more attention to her. This time, she heard that there was a young lady who wanted to find a hardworking and good nanny. She was among the few people recommended. Sure enough, this young lady wasn't someone who was easy to fool. The questions she asked were more detailed than her, a nanny, and she even tested her cooking skills on the spot. Anyway, she relied on her hands. What she did would be worthy of this salary. She didn't brag and only spoke according to her actual situation. As for her colleagues, although they said nice things, they weren't chosen by this lady in the end. This made her a little happy. This lady preferred hardworking people. She wasn't afraid of working too much. As long as she was paid accordingly, she would do things perfectly. What she was most afraid of was that the employer was too picky. No matter how perfect they would find ways to make things difficult. If you do well, you'll get a bonus at the end of the month. During the new year, you'll also get a red packet. There's also a holiday. If there's anything urgent, Auntie Sue, you can call me in advance. Tangwa said to Auntie Sue as she drove, I need you to send lunch to my husband's company. It's the same for dinner. My portion can be warmed at home. Understood, Miss Tang. After Auntie Sue found the way, she confirmed the working time with Tangwa and left. In the evening, Luo Yiqing came home. Tangwa was sitting in the living room watching TV. Seeing him come back, she said, Yiqing, I went to the housekeeping company to hire a nanny today. Nanny? Luo Yiqing was surprised. Thinking that Tangwa was a rich young lady, it was normal for her to hire a nanny. She nodded and said, Then I will transfer you more of my salary in the future. No need. I still have the money to hire a nanny. Didn't you say that you would transfer half of your monthly salary to me? This is enough. Luo Yiqing smiled. Looking at Tang was sitting cross-legged on the sofa with a smile on her face. The tiredness of the day lessened a lot. He walked to the side and sat down. After a moment of hesitation, he said, Xiao Guo, a week has passed. It's impossible between me and Qian Beibei. However, I need you to give me some time. Okay, I'll wait for you to forget her, Tangwa said. Luo Yiqing breathed a sigh of relief. He was already surprised that the delicate young lady could do this. Thank you, system. Thank you so early. In fact, when he was not busy this week, he would always recall the 9 years he spent with Qian Beibei. There was happiness, there was sorrow. On the day of the wedding, Qian Beibei's actions had really chilled his heart. Fastware, supporting female lead, calm down Claw Book Room 01D, Goo, 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 Section No, Time Free 05, Reading 002, Peak. Chapter 1032. One sentence negated his 5 years of hard work. That was why he got involved with Tangwa in a moment of desperation. Qian Beibei's family looked down on him. Qian Beibei chose her family. If he continued to pester her, wouldn't he be shameless? Tangwa chose to agree to his request without hesitation because she cared about his reputation that day. In fact, he understood that the kind girl agreed to his request that day because she was afraid that he would be embarrassed again. She had used her own reputation to help him maintain his dignity. Therefore, he really should let go of Qian Beibei, slowly forget her, and live with his current legal wife. The nanny will send your food to the company at noon and in the afternoon. Tangwa continued, You used to work overtime, so your stomach must be weak. In the future, with a nanny to help you cook, you won't starve. Luo Yiqing felt a little warm in his heart. He couldn't help but share with Tangwa some of the things that happened at work today. When Tangwa heard about Luo Yiqing's plans for the future, her mouth moved and she praised him. Her words were full of affirmation for him. She believed that with his ability, he would definitely be able to achieve something in 3 to 5 years. As for what he wanted to do alone in the future, she supported him with both hands. If you have such thoughts when the time comes, I can invest. Tangwa propped her chin up and said, I Ching, what do you think? Of course that's good. Since you trust me so much, I definitely won't let you lose money. Just based on the fact that she supported his career, he definitely wouldn't let Xiaogua lose money. In fact, he would let her make a lot of money. Tangwa smiled even more beautifully. I Ching, I think with your ability, it's better to plan early. You don't have to worry about money. I can take care of it. You can start preparing now. Working for others, you always earn a small amount. What do you think? Luo Yiqing thought to himself, isn't that right? But because he didn't have the funds to start up, he couldn't just rely on his ability. In terms of connections, after 5 years of hard work, he had accumulated enough. In fact, he was short of money. With Tangwa's affirmation, his heart was burning with passion. If it weren't for the fact that he had to buy a house and a car before he could marry Qian Beibei, and that both of them were not young, he could actually use the few million yuan as startup capital. His original plan was to start his own business before getting married. However, Qian Beibei had been waiting for him for so long. If his business failed, he did not know when they could get married. Therefore, he chose to buy a house and a car first and marry Qian Beibei. At most, he would work hard for a few years after marriage, accumulate some funds, and finally start his own business. He was very confident in his own ability. Even if he couldn't get rich at the beginning, he would definitely get better and better. He had never imagined that things would turn out this way. Now that he was married to Tangwa, he couldn't possibly sell the house, even if she didn't need this house. Okay, I'll go and prepare. Xiaogua has already spoken like this, and you still believe in me so much. I definitely won't let you down. Luo Yiqing's face was full of fighting spirit. If there are no accidents, I will start my own business in a year's time. Tangwa's face was full of encouragement. I believe in you, Yiqing. You will definitely succeed. In the future, no one will look down on you. Luo Yiqing only felt his heart was boiling. He hadn't received such affirmation in a long time. At this time, even if he did not love Tangwa, he felt as if a fine steed had met a talent scout. He was a fine steed, and the girl in front of him was a talent scout. Fastware, supporting female lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room 01D. Gu. No. Excerpt. No. Time Free 05. Read 002. Peak. Chapter 1033. After a year, if I succeed in starting a business, Xiaogua, you will be the biggest shareholder of my company. A year of hard work was definitely not enough. Most of the money had to be paid by Tangwa, so she would definitely be the biggest shareholder. Well, I can count money while sitting down. I'm very happy. Tangwa was waiting for this sentence. Luo Yiqing was such a man with the ability to make money. It would be a waste if she didn't use him. Compared with dividing property after divorce, it was really good to be the biggest shareholder of the other company. Even after divorce, she would still be the biggest shareholder, and Luo Yiqing would still have to run around to help her make money. Moreover, because he was the one at fault, he would be more willing to make money. This was really a wonderful idea. Luo Yiqing had a smile on his face, and his heart was warm. In this world, he probably couldn't find another person who supported him in starting a business and was not afraid of losing money at all. Obviously, she was supporting him and protecting his face. He didn't know what to do with this kind girl. System. Oh, you misunderstood. As long as you work like a horse and make money for her, it's okay. The next day, at 12:10 p.m., Luo Yiqing received a call from the housekeeper, Auntie Sue, saying that she had brought him food according to Tangwa's instructions. It's all Madam's instructions. It must be rich and nutritious. Auntie Sue had a very good impression of Tangwa. She also ordered that dinner be sent to you, in case you are too busy to eat. In fact, Tangwa was too lazy to say these words every day. It was Auntie Sue who said these words herself. But this godly assistant was really good. Even if these dishes were not made by Tangwa, Luo Yiqing also thought that it was made by Tangwa. Recently, the people in the company looked at Luo Yiqing in a subtle way. When they heard the housekeeper's words, their hearts were full of jealousy. He had been fancied by a rich young lady, and now she even had a nanny deliver food. This Luo Yiqing was really lucky. Previously, they had mocked him for being looked down upon by the Qian Beibei family. Now, they had been slapped in the face. The Qian Beibei family may look down on her, but the daughter of the Tang family is interested in her. Luo Yiqing ate delicious food, and some of her depressed mood was swept away. She was even more motivated to work in the afternoon. At around 6 o'clock, because he had to work overtime, Auntie Sue brought dinner over. She said, "According to Madam's instructions, I also prepared supper for you. It's warm in the pot. You can eat it when you get home." Luo Yiqing always felt that his life was different. He buried his head in the warm food in front of him. It was indeed different. In the past, he would always miss meals, and it was easy for him to get a stomachache. He only ate 1 or 2 meals a day, so it was normal for him to buy something to satisfy his hunger. Today was the most punctual day he had ever eaten. After dinner, he sent a message to Tanghua, saying that he had to work overtime today and would be home late. Perhaps it was time for him to change. Unexpectedly, Tanghua's message came back very quickly. It was just a short sentence, but it made him feel especially motivated. "You have to take care of your body while working hard. Be careful when you drive home at night." The system secretly looked at Tanghua, who was lying lazily on the sofa, biting on a popsicle and casually saying a sentence. "Dear host, your flattery skills are getting better and better. I can guarantee that Luo Yiqing now wishes that he was a perpetual motion machine, the kind that works 24 hours a day and uses endless energy." Baijio, Noo, Nob, O1C, Fastware, Supporting Female Lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room O1D, Gu, Noo, Section Noo, Time Free 05, Read 002, Peak. Chapter 1034. Also, Madam Host, why did you hire a nanny to spoil him? Will he fall in love with you? I don't think so. The person he loves the most will only be Qian Beibei. Then why? Of course I want to spoil him. I want him to get used to this kind of life where he can stretch out his hand for clothes, open his mouth for food, and have a nanny take care of him. Tanghua rolled her eyes. There's a good saying. It's easy to live in luxury, but difficult to live in simplicity. I'm just being a qualified wife. Because I have the money to hire a nanny to take care of him, of course I don't have to worry about it myself. If I don't have the money to hire a nanny, I'll definitely have to do it myself. I'm not willing to do that. System. Hehe. Is this host a dog? If Luo Yiqing gets used to this kind of life, how can he live with Qian Beibei in the future? He'll probably have to compare the two of them in everything. This kind of life is not sweet love. Even if Luo Yiqing doesn't love his Madam Host, he'll still remember the good things about her. Damn, this woman is really scary. Especially a woman like Madam Host, she can't be offended. If something goes wrong, she'll use a heart-wrenching strategy. If something goes wrong, she'll use flattery to kill. Even a life drama will be turned into a horror film by her. Tanghua hired a nanny to take care of Luo Yiqing. She often moved her mouth to encourage Luo Yiqing. Luo Yiqing was motivated by her, and her mind was filled with the idea of making money and starting a business. The Qian family wasn't so peaceful. The Qian family didn't expect that Luo Yiqing would really get married with another woman on the same day. Qian Beibei also didn't expect that Luo Yiqing would really get married with Tanghua, and they even got the marriage certificate on the same day. Now that she thought about the scene that day, she felt pain and regret in her heart. She really shouldn't have said those words at that time. 10 days had already passed. She couldn't bring herself to look for Luo Yiqing. She didn't expect that Luo Yiqing didn't want to look for her either. Because of this incident, she became a joke among her friends and colleagues. How could she have expected that Luo Yiqing would really not marry her? Qian Beibei hadn't expected this, and neither had her mother, Niu Jinlan. In her opinion, with Luo Yiqing's infatuation with her Beibei, even if he had to borrow or take a loan, he would still be able to gather the 660,000 taels of betrothal money. She had never expected that the other party would give up on Beibei and marry the daughter of the Tang family. Niu Jinlan also had some regrets in her heart. She regretted that she had arranged a blind date for Qian Beibei with a man in their city. Although he was not as handsome as Luo Yiqing, he had a house, a shop, and a high-paying job. He was better than Luo Yiqing. Now that Qian Beibei had been humiliated, the news had spread like wildfire. In addition, Qian Beibei had applied for half a month's leave from the company. He hadn't been able to eat for the past few days, and he had lost a lot of weight. If there was someone to blame, it was Luo Yiqing's fault. If he hadn't gone overboard, would Beibei have become like this? Would the Qian family have been humiliated? Beibei, what's so good about Luo Yiqing? Actually, I've seen his true colors this time. Fortunately, I didn't marry him. Niu Jinlan looked at Qian Beibei's sullen expression and couldn't help but say, after a while, I'll find someone to introduce you to a better one. The kind that's hundreds of times better than Luo Yiqing. With our Beibei's looks, do you think that no one will want you? Why didn't Luo Yiqing marry me? Mom, haven't you reflected on your choice that day? Fastware, supporting female lead, calm down Claw Book Room 01D. Gu. Noo. Section Noo. Time free 05. Read 002. The Peak. Chapter 1035. Qian Beibei looked at Niu Jinlan with red eyes. You clearly know that he used all his money to buy a house and a car, but he still asked for so many betrothal gifts on that day. No one can accept it. Beibei, that only shows that he is incompetent. In fact, it is better not to marry such an incompetent man. There are many men in the world who are more capable than him. Luo Yiqing doesn't make a difference. Niu Jinlan just couldn't stand Luo Yiqing. Except for her good looks, she was useless. Sister, since you regret it so much, why didn't you just say yes to him that day and go with him? Now you are blaming our mother. Qin Chengcheng was very unhappy. He was still waiting to buy a house with 660,000 yuan. Nowadays, when a man got married, how could he not have a house? Because he hadn't bought a house yet, he didn't dare to go to the house of the girl he liked. His mother was right. Luo Yiqing was incompetent. She couldn't even take out 660,000 yuan as betrothal gifts. Yes, Beibei, didn't you tacitly agree to let Luo Yiqing take out the money that day? Niu Jinlan said, you tacitly agreed. We didn't think that Luo Yiqing could still take out some money to show that he valued you. In fact, we were also thinking for you. Whether a man loves you or not, he has to start with money. If he loves you enough, even if he didn't have it at that time, he would find someone to find a way. 1 ton and 1 T/I. When Niu Jinlan said this, she was a little angry in her heart. I really didn't expect that kid to directly marry another woman. Beibei, Luo Yiqing doesn't seem to like you that much. You see, if he really likes you, why would he directly marry someone else and leave you here? Isn't this making you lose face? Mom is right. Sister, why don't we introduce you to another one? I think the one last time is good. His family has several houses, many shops, and a company. Sister, if you marry him, you will live the life of a rich wife. It is much better than marrying Luo Yiqing. When Qian Beibei heard Niu Jinlan and Qian Qingqing's words, her eyes turned even redder, and tears fell down her cheeks. That man is pretty rich. Mom, have you forgotten that he's already 40 years old this year? He has 2 children and is divorced twice. Are you thinking for me, or are you thinking for yourselves? Seeing that something was amiss, Niu Jinlan hurriedly said, Beibei, it's fine if you don't want to, but Luo Yiqing is already married, so don't even think about it. After a while, I'll make arrangements for you. I guarantee that you'll marry a good man. Mom, forget it. Qian Beibei stood up and went back to his room to pack his things. After a while, he came out with his suitcase. When Niu Jinlan saw this, she cried out, Beibei, what are you doing? Mom, can I not get married? If it weren't for the fact that she was afraid of angering Niu Jinlan, she really wanted to say something. She pushed Niu Jinlan away. My life has been ruined by you. What else do you want? Hey, Beibei, where are you going? I'm going to work soon. Of course, I'm going back to the company's dormitory. Where else can I go? Qian Beibei's expression was a little wooden. When she saw Niu Jinlan heave a sigh of relief, she felt especially sad. Don't try to find a partner for me. I'm not going to get married in this lifetime. Beibei, don't. Beibei. Niu Jinlan hurriedly chased after her and even asked Qian Chengqing to help her. In the end, he said, Mom, sister is still angry. What's the point of chasing her back? She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. She wanted to follow excellent reading literature on WeChat, talk about life, and find confidence. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down, talk about life, and find confidence. Peak. Chapter 1036. Didn't you hear it just now? She's going back to the company to work. You can't let her stay at home and let you support her, right? At least she can make money if she goes to work. Sister is already so old. You can't let mom support her, right? Sister has been angry these few days. You guys have been quarreling. I'm almost annoyed to death. I haven't been eating, drinking, and sleeping well recently. Mom, you only care about sister. Can't you see that I've lost a lot of weight? Niu Jinlan, who originally wanted to pull Qian Beibei back, heard Qian Qingqing's words and hurriedly stepped back. Seeing that Qian Qingqing was angry, she looked distressed. Mom will go to the market later to buy an old hen and make soup for you. Chengqing, what else do you want to eat? Mom will buy it and cook it for you. Niu Jinlan looked at Qian Qingqing. He seemed to have lost a little weight. Her heart ached. Qian Beibei had long been thrown to the back of her mind. After listening to Qian Chengqing list a bunch of dishes, she took the basket, hung it on her wrist, and went out. And a few days later, Mother Luo called Luo Yiqing and said that the date had been discussed. It was the 6th of next month. It was a very good date. Luo Yiqing was stunned when he heard it. He quickly remembered that he was going to take Tanghua back to his hometown for the wedding. Okay, Mom, I got it. I'll immediately ask for leave from the company. Okay, our village has prepared everything for the wedding. You just have to bring Xiaoguo back. Mother Luo was very happy. That day, she showed the photos of her son and daughter-in-law's wedding to the villagers. Everyone praised her daughter-in-law's good looks, and her smile was especially beautiful. In the past, Qian Beibei was brought back to the village by Luo Yiqing. They only remembered that the girl was also good-looking. Girls in the city were always different from girls in the countryside. They were gentle and polite, but they didn't talk much with them. And they were looking forward to seeing if Luo Yiqing's current wife was the same as Qian Beibei's. Mrs. Luo remembered that she had talked to Tanghua for a long time that day. She quickly said to the villagers, Xiaoguo is different from that Qian Beibei girl. She knows our countryside very well. I heard that she even opened her own shop and specializes in selling our countryside's local specialties. She also said that there are many treasures in the countryside that are especially rare in the city. Just you wait. When Yiqing brings Xiaoguo back, you'll know how good this girl is. Mother Luo was very confident in her own judgment. Although this young lady spoke to her politely, she was a little more cordial and would never put on airs. When she spoke in the local dialect of the countryside, people could understand her. They could even speak with her in the accent of the countryside. She liked it very much. To be able to marry such a good city girl who didn't despise them for being from the countryside, the Luo family had picked up a treasure. That girl was only 25 years old this year, a few years younger than her Yiqing. According to Yiqing, she went to university at the age of 16. She was smart, opened her own shop, and came from a good family. Where could he find such a good daughter-in-law? In the village, Mrs. Luo happily looked forward to her son bringing her daughter-in-law back every day. She wanted the villagers to open their eyes and see how good her son's judgment was. When Qian Beibei returned to the company's dormitory, she couldn't help but feel sad when she thought about Luo Yiqing marrying someone else. She felt even sadder when she heard the whispers of her colleagues. Not long after, she really couldn't stand the comments of her colleagues. She chose to resign and go to another smaller company. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. She followed excellent reading literature on WeChat, talked about life, and found confidence. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down, talked about life, and found confidence. Peak. Chapter 1037. She didn't know whether it was intentional or not, but this company was very close to the place where Luo Yiqing worked. It was in a building next door. Sometimes she couldn't help but hide secretly and watch Luo Yiqing enter the company and come out after work from a distance. Every time she wanted to go up, she remembered that he was married. She had to stand there sadly and be silent for a long time. After more than a week, Qian Beibei couldn't bear it anymore. She planned to talk to Luo Yiqing after work today. She believed that Luo Yiqing was just too angry at that time, not because he didn't love her. If he didn't love her, Luo Yiqing wouldn't have worked so hard and bought a house and a car in full in the past 5 years. She had never denied Luo Yiqing's ability. On the wedding day, she might have been stupid because of her mother's words, so she embarrassed Luo Yiqing face to face. She knew that he worked hard for 5 years to marry her. Now she calmed down and knew that she was wrong. She was very regretful. Luo Yiqing couldn't like Tanghua. Tanghua was beautiful and had a good family background. If Luo Yiqing wanted to have a change of heart, he would have done so long ago. He wouldn't have stayed by her side quietly for so many years. He was just impulsive that day. She guessed that he regretted it now. Otherwise, why did Luo Yiqing work overtime until 9 o'clock in the evening every day? He must have regretted his impulsive behavior that day. He couldn't face Tanghua for a while, so he stayed in the company. If he really accepted the status quo, he wouldn't be so cold to Tanghua. The more Qian Beibei thought about it, the more she felt it was so. She had planned to go to Luo Yiqing's company to find him after work today. At 6 o'clock in the afternoon, Qian Beibei summoned up the courage to go to the building where Luo Yiqing worked. When she walked into the building where Luo Yiqing worked, Luo Yiqing's former colleagues also looked at her in surprise. "I'm here to find Yiqing." Qian Beibei smiled awkwardly. She saw that the people who were about to leave stayed and looked at her. Now in their eyes, she was a joke. She thought a lot, especially the 9 years she spent with Luo Yiqing, so she couldn't lose Luo Yiqing. Even if everyone was laughing to her today, she had to fight for herself. Is he still working overtime? Qian Beibei asked someone she was familiar with. The other party looked at her deeply before saying, "He didn't work overtime today?" "No. No overtime?" Qian Beibei, Qian Yiqing's st. Then I'll come to find him tomorrow. Although she really wanted to see Luo Yiqing, she couldn't go to Luo Yiqing's house. If she went there, what would she do? She would be laughed at by more people. She'd better come to find Luo Yiqing tomorrow and talk to him alone. She believed that Luo Yiqing, who loved her, would definitely consider this matter carefully. Moreover, she didn't believe that Luo Yiqing would really have anything with Tanghua. Luo Yiqing was not a casual person. He had no emotional foundation and would not be involved with any woman. Then I'll go first. Goodbye. Now facing Luo Yiqing's colleagues, she felt particularly embarrassed. In order to find Luo Yiqing, she had to face it. Luo Yiqing wasn't here, so she didn't have the courage to stay. "Miss Qian, you don't have to come tomorrow. Luo Yiqing doesn't have to go to work tomorrow." She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting role, calm down. She followed excellent reading literature on WeChat. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting role, calm down. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about life. Peak. Chapter 1038. Qian Beibei looked up in surprise. Is he on a business trip or is he on leave? He's on leave. Qian Beibei pursed her lips, paused, and asked, "What about the day after tomorrow? Will he be there the day after tomorrow?" Luo Yiqing's colleague shook her head. "No, he's on leave for 5 days. He won't come back to work until next Tuesday." "Did something happen to Yiqing?" Qian Beibei asked nervously. Her face was pale, and her hands were clenched tightly. Her heart was beating faster. Those who didn't leave looked at each other, not knowing what to say. A good wedding was ruined because of the Qian family. They all saw how hard Luo Yiqing worked to buy a house and a car. Apart from the competition with the company, they actually admired Luo Yiqing. They couldn't do that. They never thought that Qian Beibei would embarrass Luo Yiqing on the day of the wedding. /I and 1T/I, Luo Yiqing was a joke, but the appearance of a family Tang's daughter directly restored Luo Yiqing's face. This was also why they couldn't help but envy Luo Yiqing. She was really lucky. They really despised Qian Beibei. Now they regretted it and wanted to go back. Luo Yiqing and the Tang family's daughter had already registered their marriage, but they still wanted to shamelessly get back. What was this? No matter how they looked at it, as long as she dared to get involved with Luo Yiqing, she would be a mistress. A few of Luo Yiqing's female colleagues shook their heads and walked past Qian Beibei with disdain. The obvious disgust in their eyes made Qian Beibei's face burn, but she still wanted to know what happened to Luo Yiqing. The colleague who answered Qian Beibei was rather kind-hearted. Although he looked down on Qian Beibei in his heart, he still said to her, Luo Yiqing has applied for leave to go back to his hometown for the wedding. So, Miss Qian, if you have anything to do, you can come back next Tuesday. /I and 1T/I, but, Miss Qian, no matter what you're here for, Luo Yiqing is already married to the Tang family's daughter. He was giving a friendly reminder. As a man, he understood men very well. The Qian family and Qian Beibei had embarrassed Luo Yiqing that day. Even if Luo Yiqing still had feelings for Qian Beibei, even if they would be together in the future, this matter would always be a knot. If she didn't pay attention, this hidden knot would explode and affect their relationship. If she wanted to untie this knot, she would have to go through all kinds of hardships and let their relationship sublimate again. Of course, this was all nonsense. The most important thing was that Luo Yiqing was now a married man. If Qian Beibei got involved, he would be a homewrecker. Qian Beibei had single-handedly contributed to the current situation, so no one else could be blamed. He was giving a friendly advice. Qian Beibei didn't hear this advice. Her mind was full of Luo Yiqing going back to his hometown for the wedding. She controlled the tears that were about to fall, said goodbye, and hurried downstairs. Walking out of the office building, she finally couldn't help but cry. She took out her phone and called Luo Yiqing. The phone rang a few times before it was picked up. She felt bad. It turned out that whenever she called Luo Yiqing, he would never pick up after 3 rings. Yiqing, she choked out. After a 5-second pause, a very pleasant female voice sounded. Is this Miss Qian? She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. She wanted to follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. She wanted to talk about life and find friends. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. She wanted to talk about life and find friends. Peak. Chapter 1039. Qian Beibei's eyes widened. She quickly stopped crying and hung up the phone. She looked at the phone in a daze. Tanghua answered the phone. Yiqing wondered if Tanghua had reached this point. Yiqing, your phone call. Luo Yiqing came out of the bathroom neatly dressed and saw Tanghua put his phone on the coffee table. She said calmly, Qian Beibei. Luo Yiqing was stunned. His heart skipped a beat. He walked to the coffee table and picked up the phone. He looked at Tanghua's expression and saw that she was not angry. If you want to call, then call. You have such a deep relationship. You won't forget it for a while. She's calling. You haven't made a final decision yet. It's good to make it clear. Tanghua said. She sat down and began to peel fruit. She was not angry. Luo Yiqing breathed a sigh of relief. He nodded and dialed Qian Beibei's number in front of Tanghua. Qian Beibei saw that it was a call back. She could not care less and quickly picked it up. This time, she did not speak first. When she heard Luo Yiqing calling her, she could not help crying and shouting, Yiqing, what's the matter? Luo Yiqing asked awkwardly. Hearing such a polite voice, Qian Beibei's heart sank. I heard from your colleague that you're going back to your hometown to hold a wedding? Yes, Luo Yiqing answered. My mother has been looking forward to it for a long time. She held a wedding in the city. She didn't come because she was waiting for me to go back to my hometown to hold another one. In fact, the Qian family was the one who proposed to hold 2 weddings. To put it nicely, the customs of the people in the city and the people in the countryside were very different. In fact, the Qian family looked down on the people in the countryside. Luo Yiqing thought that if she really invited the villagers to the city to attend the wedding, there might be conflicts with so many people. He discussed this matter with Mother Luo. When Mother Luo and the villagers heard that they were going back to the countryside to hold a party, they thought that it was pretty good. In fact, the people in the city despised them. They also did not like to drink with the people in the city who were too particular, and looked down on the people in the countryside. The people in the city were gentle and liked to be clean. Looking at their rustic clothes, she always felt that they were not clean. They were a little bold when eating. Holding a banquet was supposed to be lively and lively. What was the point of being so cold? He might as well do it this way. Everyone would be at ease. I-Ching, is there really no turning back between us? Qian Beibei refused to give up. I know you can't forget me, and I can't forget you either. It was indeed my fault that day. I didn't consider your feelings. You've already done very well. I was blinded by lard, so I didn't agree to your request. And you also impulsively married Miss Tang. I-Ching, why do you have to torture each other like this and drag the innocent Miss Tang into it? Let's start over, okay? When Luo I-Ching heard these words, he only felt that it was a little ridiculous. However, Qian Beibei's pitiful tone made his heart very uncomfortable. He could not harden his heart to say harsh words. No, he was afraid that if he continued to listen to her, his heart would really soften. He could never refuse Qian Beibei's request. They were already over. Now that he was married, it would not be good for either of them to be involved anymore. Beibei, I'm already married. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up. My flight is at 9 o'clock tonight. I'm going to the airport now. Qian Beibei did not believe that Luo I-Ching would really hang up on her directly. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. She followed excellent reading literature on WeChat, talked about life, and found confidence. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. Talked about life, and found confidence peak. Chapter 1040. They had known each other for 9 years and had been together for 9 years. Luo I-Ching had never taken the initiative to hang up on her. Every time the call ended, the other party would wait for her to hang up. Qian Beibei looked at the phone that had ended the call and finally couldn't help but cry bitterly. Luo I-Ching let out a long sigh. He looked up and saw that Tanghua had just finished peeling an apple. She handed it to him and said, "Eat it before you leave." Okay. Luo I-Ching was still a little sad. He ate the sweet apple and felt much better. I'm done with her. I heard that. Tanghua smiled and said, I-Ching, you don't have to feel pressured. It's very difficult to forget someone who left a deep impression on you. I understand very well. We have plenty of time. There's no need to be so anxious. It won't be too late for us to start when you no longer have Qian Beibei in your heart. I've waited for so many years. It doesn't make a difference. Anyway, we're already married. Aren't you planning to start a business now? You can use this time to devote yourself to your business. Don't think about anything else. I don't believe that a cooked duck will fly away. Luo I-Ching couldn't help but laugh when he was compared to a cooked duck. He only felt that the heaviness in his heart dissipated when he was understood in this way. You're right. I definitely won't let you down. I'll give you a surprise in a year's time. Luo I-Ching felt that even if he forgot about Qian Beibei in the future and didn't have such deep feelings for Xiaoguo, he could use his own ability to earn more money for her and give her the life of a rich family's daughter that she should have. She was a rich young lady. She couldn't possibly lower her standard of living just because she was married to him, right? Then I'll wait for your surprise. Okay, it's getting late. Let's go to the airport. The two of them packed their luggage and rushed to the airport. Along with them were members of the family. Tanghua's parents and her 2 brothers, the eldest brother Tang Ming and the second brother Tang Feng. That's right, she had 2 brothers. He wasn't originally in this city, but when he heard that their baby sister had suddenly gotten married, he knew the cause and effect, so he hurriedly put down what he was doing and rushed back. Since his little sister liked him, no matter what, they had to show their support and not let anyone look down on their little sister. In their opinion, since their younger sister still liked Luo I-Ching, they should treat it as keeping a gigolo to please their younger sister. If one day the girl didn't like Luo I-Ching anymore, they would help throw this trash into the trash can. They knew better than Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang. If their little sister liked someone, then so be it. She was their family's precious little girl. Was it not okay for her to like a man? Even if he was a piece of trash, his younger sister could play with him whenever she wanted. If she broke him, she could just throw him away. When Tangwa heard what her two brothers had said to her in private, she almost couldn't hold back her laughter. If the original owner had communicated with her family from the beginning, with these two brothers watching over her, she wouldn't have been so miserable. If she didn't use such a good backer, her brain must have been flooded with water. When they arrived at the county nearest to the village, Tangwa saw a row of luxury cars parked in front of her. Only then did she know that her two brothers had already asked someone to consign the cars to her as her wedding motorcade. In the face of the family's strength, Luo Yiqing could only agree. The people of Luo village had been waiting at the entrance of the village for a long time. When they saw a row of luxury cars driving to the entrance of the village, they were a little confused. Although they were villagers, the older they got these years, the better their lives were. The road was built to the entrance of the village. There were also some young people who had seen the world. At a glance, they knew that those cars were very expensive. Want to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration? Female supporting character, calm down. Follow excellent reading literature on WeChat, talk about life, find a confidant. Want to chat with more like-minded people about Chapter 1041. Those young people who recognized the logo of the car discussed in low voices enviously. The family Tang came out together, especially Tang's two older brothers. They were handsome and tall. The two of them stood on either side of Tangwa, protecting the petite girl in the middle. At a glance, it was clear that Tangwa was the family Tang's treasure. However, the family Tang members were smiling throughout the whole process. Mr. Tang and Mrs. Tang were businessmen and had seen all kinds of people. After a few words, they started chatting with the villagers. Mr. Tang chatted with the village chief, while Mrs. Tang chatted with Mrs. Luo and the aunties in the village. These two had suffered when they were young. They came back later and had seen everything. When the villagers heard that the two of them had stayed in the countryside before, they were even more enthusiastic about them. Tang's two older brothers were not particularly cold people. The young people in the village chatted with them. After chatting for a while, they felt that the two of them were sister-obsessed. As for Tang's performance, there was even less to nitpick. Whether it was Mrs. Luo or the villagers, they all felt that Luo Yiqing was climbing the social ladder. They were polite to the family Tang members. Because of the appearance of the family Tang members and Luo Yiqing's previous instructions, the wedding in the village was lively and well-behaved. No one dared to make a scene. Mrs. Luo was overjoyed when she saw the various gifts from her daughter-in-law. There were foot soaps, body massages, and all kinds of health products. She told everyone that her daughter-in-law was so filial. When Tangwa and Luo Yiqing returned to the city, she was very generous. She slaughtered all the old hens in the backyard and gave them all to Tangwa. Thinking of the family Tang members' courtesy, she asked someone to kill her big fat pig and make it into sauced meat. She gave it to the family Tang members as well as some local specialties. Tangwa strolled around the village and found that there were a lot of local specialties in this village. She had an idea. She had a shop under her name that specialized in selling local specialties. They only sold natural things from the countryside. Rather than asking people to go to different places to buy it, it was better to buy it from this village. Winning people's hearts and earning money at the same time. Wasn't that a win-win situation? System. Stupid host. If this happens, Luo Yiqing will have to let the host down a little. If she really marries Qian Beibei, how will Qian Beibei live? Mother Luo was not someone who could be easily fooled. Now that she liked the host so much, she would definitely compare the host in the future. When he returned to the village and heard all kinds of discussions, he was afraid that he would be even angrier. He would definitely vent his anger on Qian Beibei. Before leaving, Tangwa went to the village head and expressed her willingness to buy the village's extra local specialties, such as eggs, chickens, ducks, livestock, and some sausages. She would buy as much as there was. When the village head heard this, he knew that this was something that would bring benefits to their village. Previously, they had heard Mother Luo boast that her daughter-in-law owned a shop. Since she had come to their door, it was obvious that she really owned a shop. This young lady was really capable at such a young age. She spoke in a down-to-earth manner. She was obviously a city dweller with a good family background, but when she talked and laughed with them, she did not have a sense of superiority at all. In short, They liked this young lady very much. The village head felt that this was a good thing, so he held a meeting in the village. When everyone heard that Tangwa wanted to buy these local specialties, they all liked her. Now that they could make money and keep in touch, how could they not agree? Villagers were different from city dwellers. They liked to be more enthusiastic and had better relationships with each other. Want to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration? Female supporting character, calm down. Follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life. Find bosom friends. Want to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration? Female supporting character, calm down. Talk about life. Find bosom friends. Peak. Chapter 1042. Even if Luo Yiqing settled down in the city, they still hoped that this relationship could not be broken. There must be contacts, and maybe one day they would be able to help each other. When they heard that Tangwa was buying these things to sell, they said that they could make more in the future and only sell them to her. She just needed to call people to pull them over. Tangwa asked people to negotiate the contract that day and discussed a more reasonable price. When the villagers saw the price, their impression of her was even better. She did not let them suffer at all. This girl was really honest. Tangwa's shop was targeted at people who were similar to Family Tang. They liked these local specialties in the countryside. Family Tang people had a good reputation, and she specialized in these things. She was not afraid that these things could not be sold. It should be said that there was not enough to sell. Luo Yiqing looked at Tangwa and the villagers. After a while, they had a business deal. He felt ashamed. The two brothers of Family Tang saw his expression. Tang Ming said, "Now you understand how excellent my sister is? Although my sister has always been spoiled by us, she has never been a good-for-nothing. The shops under her name were all bought with the pocket money given to her by her family. Making local specialties was also her idea." The two brothers of Family Tang began to brag about how great their sister was without any shame. Luo Yiqing nodded in agreement. Tangwa was indeed very powerful. He had known about it since he was in college. She went to college at the age of 16 and started a business during college. She was very famous in school. The people who chased after her could line up for several streets. The key was that her business did not affect her studies. She was particularly excellent in every subject. "Boy, you have to work hard." Tang Ming patted Luo Yiqing's shoulder. "It's your blessing to be liked by my sister. We don't object if she likes you. If she doesn't like you one day, we won't have the time to talk to you about this." Luo Yiqing could only nod. "I've already planned to start a business next year and do it alone." "Oh." Tang Feng was a little surprised, but he wasn't surprised. Luo Yiqing's background had already been thoroughly investigated by him, and there were no secrets left. "Good, you're ambitious. Finally, there's a bright spot. The girl will invest in you, right?" Tang Ming narrowed his eyes and asked. Luo Yiqing nodded. "Yes, I won't let her down, and I won't let her lose money. I'll definitely let her earn money." The two of them were slightly satisfied as long as they didn't lose money. This kid was quite poor, but he was still capable. If the girl invested in him, it would not be a loss. Tang Ming and Tang Feng calculated the profits and losses in their hearts. In the end, they looked at each other and said, "As your brother-in-law, I'll invest in you too. I'm your second brother-in-law, so I'll help you out. I'll also invest some money to support you. This way, Xiaoguo will take the highest shares. As your two brothers, it's equivalent to supporting you. It's not easy for young people to start a business. You can go and prepare. Don't worry about money." This amount of money was nothing to them. They had their own plans for investing in Luo Yiqing. First, they did support her for Tangwa's sake. Second, with Luo Yiqing's performance in the past few years, she was very likely to achieve something. As long as there was financial support, success was inevitable. Since their calculations were going to succeed, they definitely had to get some shares in their hands. It was also for the sake of their sister. He wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. He followed excellent reading literature on WeChat, talked about life, and found confidence. He wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down, talked about life, and found confidence. Peak. Chapter 1043. If this kid got rich and became bad, the three of them would have a lot of money in their hands. If this kid was not obedient, they could kick him out anytime. The two of them looked at each other and smiled sinisterly. With them around, it was impossible for the girl to be at a disadvantage. Luo Yiqing, this kid, if he knew what was good for him, he would be obedient. On the day they left, the villagers were especially reluctant to part with them. The people from the family were really easy to get along with. They did not have the arrogance of the city people at all. The smart ones even asked about the family. After knowing the other party's background, they were speechless. This kid from the Luo family, marrying such a rich young lady, was really a blessing. When Mother Luo heard about the family's current status, she was also shocked. It turned out that this family was so rich. There was also that row of cars. The lowest price was 3 to 4 million. Mother Luo felt that her heart could not take it. She looked at Tang Guo with eyes full of joy. When Tang Guo left, Mother Luo held Tang Guo's hand with a reluctant look on her face. Luo Yiqing's elder sister also could not bear to part with her. Her younger brother had vented his anger, and as his elder sister, she also benefited from it. From these days of interaction, she also quite liked this rich young lady. She was easy to talk to and did not mind that she was a rough person at all. She called her elder sister and was very affectionate. She even gave her cosmetics and accessories. Those accessories were especially beautiful. If not for the fact that she did not take care of herself, she would definitely look good wearing them. The two of them looked at Tang Guo reluctantly. They could not bear to part with her. Mom, if you want to visit Yiqing and me in the future, just give me a call. I'll book the plane tickets for you, Tang Guo said with a smile. Mother Luo said with heartache, the plane tickets are so expensive. When I come to visit you, I'll take the bus. The bus is too tiring and takes a long time. I have money, and Yiqing also knows how to earn money. Can't I pay for mom and sister's travel expenses? You are the ones who gave him up. It's only right for you to come and enjoy life. Yes, Mom, big sister, if you want to come over, call me. I'll book the tickets for you. Luo Yiqing was really happy these days. He hadn't seen his mother and elder sister so happy for a long time. Seeing how happy they were receiving the gifts, she felt a little guilty. In order to earn money to buy a house, she married Qian Beibei. He had been living frugally and had forgotten about his mother and elder sister, the two people who had worked hard to sell him out. For the past few years, he had not been able to properly thank these two family members who had treated him so well. Xiao Guo was really thoughtful. He kept saying that they had bought all these together. Mom, I'll start my own business next year. By then, I'll definitely have more money. In the future, I'll buy you a house in the city. I'll buy a house for Mom and a house for big sister. In the future, our family will live in the same neighborhood and can see each other every day. Luo Yiqing's mother and eldest sister were moved to tears. They were especially happy that Luo Yiqing was successful. However, for the past few years, Luo Yiqing had been busy earning money so that he could buy a house and marry Qian Beibei. Throughout the year, he didn't even come back twice. In their hearts, they were still a little sad. Now, the reason why Luo Yiqing could think of these things was mostly because of Tang Guo. They looked at Tang Guo gratefully. They had really married the right girl. In the past, Luo Yiqing would never have thought of so many things. Tang Guo stood at the side with a smile on her face. Suddenly, she said, Big sister, since you have nothing to do at home, why don't you help me collect the local specialties in the village every month? I want to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. I want to follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. I want to talk about life and find friends. I want to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. I want to talk about life and find friends. Peak. Chapter 1044. Don't you know how to drive? I'll give you a price according to the market price. You just have to bring me the local specialties every month. Luo's eldest sister's eyes lit up. She looked at Luo's mother and thought it was a good idea. She could go to the city to visit her brother often and make money. Now there were more and more people selling meat. She still had a son and a daughter to support. She couldn't just stay at home and sell meat with her husband. Can I really do that? Of course you can. Mom can also come over. If she feels tired of driving a big truck, I'll book a plane ticket for her. My eldest sister and the others will deliver the goods. I'm not tired. I'm not tired. How can I be tired? Luo's mother quickly said, "This way I can save money and come to your place." Isn't that great? Now that her eldest daughter had a job, Luo's mother was very happy. This daughter-in-law was really good. In the end, Mother Luo and elder sister Luo tugged at Luo Yiqing and exhorted him for a long time. In short, they told him not to treat Tanghua unfairly, not to anger their good daughter-in-law and sister-in-law, and that he must treat her well. Luo Yiqing felt that he might not be their biological son. Tanghua was their treasure. The system only watched from the side. Its host was being a very qualified daughter-in-law and sister-in-law. It secretly said, "Bad woman." However, no one could find fault with her bad behavior. She was just a little nicer to people and didn't hurt others. However, this had already buried a huge hidden danger for Luo Yiqing's future. If Luo Yiqing wasn't tempted by Qian Beibei, nothing would happen. Once he was entangled with Qian Beibei, he just wait and see how he would die. Under the enthusiasm of the people of Luo village, Tanghua and Luo Yiqing finally returned to the city. After returning to the city, Luo Yiqing quickly threw himself into work. When he thought of the good days today, he was full of energy every day. While working hard, he accumulated experience. He reduced the overtime time and used the rest of the time to prepare for his business next year. Tanghua, on the other hand, was busy setting up the stores under her name. When she came back, she asked someone to buy a big truck and drove it to Luo village. She handed the big truck to Luo family's eldest sister. After discussing Sister Luo's salary, Sister Luo began to deliver goods to Tanghua. Tanghua's shop had a lot of good goods. They were all local specialties from the countryside, so everyone was eyeing them. After the goods arrived, she posted on her WeChat moments that many rich ladies came to her shop to pick out the goods. Tanghua asked Auntie Sue to clean up an empty room in the house. Every time Luo Yiqing's eldest sister came to live with her, Luo Yiqing would use the excuse of going on a business trip or working overtime. Anyway, he would only come back to stay when it was almost dawn. He really couldn't avoid it, so he could only sleep on the floor. Tanghua was very willing to help him hide these things. The eldest sister of the Luo family came 2 or 3 times a month, but she didn't find anything wrong. The next month, Mother Luo also came with the eldest sister of the Luo family. When she saw that Tanghua had hired a nanny, she hurriedly said, "How expensive is that? Mom, think about it. Yiqing and I are busy earning money. How can we have time to do this? The main thing is that Yiqing works overtime and doesn't have time to eat. Now that Auntie Sue is here, there will be someone to send food over every afternoon and night. This way, his body won't be worn out." When Mother Luo heard this, she felt that it was right. What if his body was worn out because of work? She wanted to talk about transmigration, female supporting character, calm down with more like-minded people. She wanted to follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. She wanted to talk about life and find friends. She wanted to talk about transmigration, female supporting character, calm down with more like-minded people. She wanted to talk about life and find friends. Peak. Chapter 1045. Her daughter-in-law was capable and could earn money, even more than her Yiqing. She couldn't let her do these things, right? She was the daughter of a rich family. How could she stay in the kitchen every day? Wouldn't that be a waste? Why don't I help you clean up and deliver food? I can also save some money. Mother Luo still felt that it was too wasteful to hire a nanny. It was 10,000 yuan a month. Even if she was rich, she shouldn't spend it like this. Mom, you've worked hard for most of your life to support Yiqing. Now that your life is good, how can you still worry about these things? You should be here to enjoy life. How tiring would it be to do housework and deliver food? Mother Luo was touched. Which daughter-in-law nowadays didn't want their mother-in-law to help them with housework and take care of the children? Who would say that they brought their mother-in-law here to enjoy life? This daughter-in-law was really good. And Mom, since you're here, stay for a while. However, Yicheng has been very busy with work recently and will come home very late. After all, he's preparing to start his business next year. I'm also very busy. Yicheng definitely doesn't have enough money on hand. I'm already married, so it's not appropriate for me to ask for money from my family. I can only work a little harder and earn more. I hope that I'll have enough money next year to support his business. Other than breakfast, Mom, you have to make it yourself. Auntie Sue will prepare lunch and dinner. You don't have to worry about the family. Just watch TV every day and go shopping with Big Sister. If there's anything you want to buy, just buy it. With that, Tanghua gave them a stack of money. Mother Luo hurriedly refused. So much. Quickly put it away. Yicheng still has to start his business tomorrow. I have money, so I don't need you to give it to me. Take it. This is a token of our sincerity. Starting a business is very important, but filial piety is also important. Tanghua also gave some money to Sister Luo. The two of them were so touched that they couldn't say anything. Their Luo family's ancestral graves were really emitting smoke. And otherwise, how could they meet such a good person who didn't dislike them at all and even let them enjoy life? Sister Luo's eyes couldn't help but turn red. Back then, in order to support Luo Yichen, she had to drop out of school and choose to marry her current husband. It would be fake if she didn't feel wronged. But what could she do? She couldn't just watch her mother suffer. Now, her brother had married a wife who was filial, sensible, smart, beautiful, had a good family background, and knew how to earn money. She was also so good to them. System. Heavens, she's spoiled. She's spoiled. The host really knows how to play. These two people were not easy to deal with. Madam Host wanted to win over the hearts of all the people around Luo Yicheng. Thinking that Luo Yicheng and Qian Beibei would forever live in the shadow of such a good girl as Tanghua, he didn't know how to express his feelings at this moment. Luo Yicheng knew nothing about this. The tacit cooperation between the two of them did not make elder sister Luo and mother Luo think that the two of them were merely husband and wife in name. Luo Yicheng felt very uncomfortable at first. Later, she heard from Tanghua that she didn't need to care about these things. They could wait until he forgot about Qian Beibei. Otherwise, it would be unfair to both of them. While he was moved, he also felt a lot less burdened. Coupled with the fact that he had to start a business, he was so busy that he forgot everything. Mother Luo and elder sister Luo lived at home, so he didn't need to worry. Aunt Sue would cook and do the housework. They could play as they pleased. Tanghua also didn't need to worry. She invited Aunt Sue back for this. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. She wanted to follow excellent reading literature on WeChat, talk about life, and find confidence. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female supporting character, calm down. Talk about life, and find confidence. Peak. Chapter 1046. She could spoil the Luo family as much as possible. Anyway, she was not short of money, and she was using Luo Yicheng's money. Luo Yicheng now had a salary of tens of thousands a month. Didn't she give half of it to her? She hired Auntie Sue for 10,000 yuan, and the rest was given to Mother Luo and Sister Luo from time to time. The two of them were very happy. Mother Luo would live here for almost half a month, and she was familiar with the old ladies downstairs. When the old ladies mingled together, there was a lot to talk about. Mother Luo couldn't help but praise her for having a good daughter-in-law. Not long after, the old ladies downstairs in Luo Yicheng's neighborhood all knew that Mother Luo had a very filial daughter-in-law. It was the little girl who was very beautiful, had a beautiful smile, and would occasionally greet them. System. Speechless. Not only the old ladies downstairs knew, but the park that Mother Luo often went to also knew. Anyway, wherever Mother Luo went, she couldn't help but praise her good daughter-in-law from beginning to end. Mother Luo occasionally went to Luo Yicheng's company to look around. Of course, she couldn't help but praise her good daughter-in-law. Although Mother Luo was born in the countryside, she was in fact very smart. Now, Tanghua would take her to the mall to dress up, and she also bought bracelets and gold earrings. Of course, these were all bought with Luo Yicheng's money. She wore a gold bracelet on one hand, a silver bracelet on the other, and gold earrings on her ears. Wearing the city's Western-style clothes, she held her chest high wherever she went. Sister Luo also learned how to put on makeup at Tangwa's place. She began to slowly take care of herself. Her original appearance was not bad, and she looked more than 10 years younger. Mother Luo was very eloquent. Occasionally, she would go to Luo Yiqing's company to take a look. She was very popular, mainly because she was very good at dealing with people. She always brought some local specialties from home. The time she went was also during the lunch break, so she would not disturb them at all. In short, Mother Luo, who could sell out Luo Yiqing, was not a simple person. As a result, everyone in the company knew how satisfied Mother Luo was with Tangwa. These days, Luo Yiqing was somewhat baffled by the envious gazes of her colleagues. If the days were peaceful, Luo Yiqing's colleagues all believed that Luo Yiqing would be happy for the rest of her life. Mother Luo and elder sister Luo also thought so. However, Luo Yiqing was the male lead of this world, and Qian Beibei was the female lead of this world. Even if the two of them missed each other by accident, they would eventually meet again. One day, Luo Yiqing got off work and drove home. She happened to see Qian Beibei walking on the street in a daze after being hit by an electric car. He had no choice but to stop the car and hurried over to support Qian Beibei. Looking at the wounds on Qian Beibei's arms and legs, his heart ached for no reason. At that time, he didn't care about anything else. He carried Qian Beibei into the car and took her to the hospital. He didn't work overtime that day. When they arrived at the hospital and Qian Beibei was checked out, he called Tangwa and told her the first lie since they got married. "Xiaogua, something came up at the company. I have to work overtime. I might come back very late." Luo Yiqing lied with guilt in his heart. When he saw Qian Beibei, he still couldn't forget Qian Beibei. After all, they had been together for so many years. These days, he had been too busy to think about her. Seeing Qian Beibei lose so much weight, he felt very sad, guilty, regretful, and distressed. He wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female lead, calm down. He wanted to follow excellent reading literature on WeChat, talk about life, find confidence. He wanted to chat with more like-minded people about transmigration. Female lead, calm down, talk about life, find confidence, peak. Chapter 1047. But now that he was married, he had to accompany Qian Beibei today, so he couldn't tell Xiaogua the truth, lest she think too much. He decided that once Qian Beibei recovered, he wouldn't be entangled with her anymore. He couldn't just watch her stay in the hospital all alone. Tangwa looked at the photo that had just been released on her phone. It was a photo of Luo Yiqing carrying Qian Beibei into the car. She said, "Okay, I'll ask Auntie Sue to keep your meal warm for you." "No, I might pull an all-nighter today." Luo Yiqing looked at the pale Qian Beibei through the door and hurriedly said, "Don't worry about me. I'll just take care of something." Okay. Take care of yourself. Don't work so late in the future." "I won't. Today was just an accident." The two ended the call. Tangwa looked at the photos and smiled. "Tongzi, I was right, wasn't I?" He can't resist temptation. Qian Beibei is still hidden in his heart. Especially when the two of them separated under such circumstances, he will never be able to let go of Qian Beibei. Unless the two of them get married as they wish and slowly wear away their feelings for each other. System. Host. I'm convinced. He really admired his host. This person's calculation was really accurate. According to his thoughts, even if his host didn't use this method on Luo Yiqing to induce Luo Yiqing to have feelings for her. Given his host's current situation, as well as Luo Yiqing's comfortable life, if it weren't for his host, would she be able to live so comfortably? He should cherish these days. After all, he was married to Tangwa. The Tang family was very straightforward and rarely interfered in their lives. In addition, Luo Yiqing's mother and older sister were also well taken care of. Didn't Luo Yiqing feel that she should cherish these days? In the end, he really didn't expect that because of Qian Beibei's injury, Luo Yiqing would forget everything and even directly lie to his host. Sure enough, he was hopeless. No wonder the great host didn't want to waste any effort on him. She only said that she supported his entrepreneurship and expressed her appreciation for his talent. This made sense. No matter how well one treated this kind of person, it would be of no use. Tang's phone rang. The system took a peek at the caller ID and saw the words, Stingy Goo. It blinded its eyes. What a unique name. Stingy Goo. It really suited that money-minded Gu Yi. Miss Tang, are you satisfied with the photos? Gu Ye's pleasant voice sounded. Tang's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. Very satisfied. Lawyer Gu is indeed efficient. This was a real-time photo. Just as Luo Yiqing carried Qian Beibei into the car and drove away, he immediately gave her the photo. Miss Tang, you've paid the commission. My people are watching him 24/7. I guarantee that if there's any movement, I'll let you know immediately. Gu Yi actually didn't quite understand. Was Luo Yiqing's brain flooded with water? The daughter of the Tang family was beautiful and elegant. She had a good family background and was especially popular. She was well-liked wherever she went. Most importantly, she was rich and especially good at making money. In his years as a lawyer, he had accepted many divorces. Most of them were caused by the deterioration of the relationship between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. However, this daughter of the Tang family was really different. He had never seen a mother-in-law praising her daughter-in-law wherever she went. Crosstalk. Female supporting lead. Calm down. Peak. Chapter 1048. It could only be said that Miss Tang was too cunning. He didn't think that scheming women were bad. On the contrary, he thought that such women were especially charming and cute when they were scheming. He liked smart women. He didn't like women who were naive and sweet. He didn't like women who would cry to solve problems. This kind of woman who knew how to fight and scheme was the best in the world. So, Luo Yiqing must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. I would like to take the liberty of asking Miss Tang a question. Tangwa raised her eyebrows and said, What question? Miss Tang, when do you plan to get a divorce? Gu Ye's eyes lit up when he said this. Yes, this woman was planning to get a divorce. Since he was interested in her, he had to ask for the time so that others wouldn't beat him to it. It's still early. No matter what, we have to wait for Luo Yiqing to set up the company. Besides, nothing happened between him and Qian Beibei. Maybe he just couldn't bear to see Qian Beibei get injured, so he stayed at the hospital. Is that so? Miss Tang, you really don't mean what you say. Gu Yi thought to himself. He didn't think that this woman was thinking this way. Set up the company? Oh, right. Luo Yiqing was a good moneymaker. Recently, he had been preparing for his business. He vaguely felt that he had guessed something, but he wasn't too sure. Miss Tang, if you want a divorce, remember to look for me. Since Miss Tang is taking care of my business, I can help you with the divorce for free. For free? Tangwen narrowed her eyes. This stingy Gu Yi would help people with their business for free? She didn't quite believe it. Lawyer Gu doesn't seem like Lawyer Gu today. What do you mean, Miss Tang? You're unexpectedly generous. You're actually helping me with my business for free. Because Miss Tang is my regular customer. The corners of Tang's lips curled up. I remember the last time you gave me a discount of 10,000 yuan. Lawyer Gu has always been a principled person, especially when it comes to money. It's hard to imagine that you would help me for free. This stingy Gu Meng must have an ulterior motive, Tangwa thought in her heart, but she did not intend to ask. I really do want to help Miss Tang. The reason is that Miss Tang is a very outstanding person. He admired her and was interested in her. Well, to put it simply, he wanted to snatch this woman over as soon as possible. Of course, he would not express his intentions now. Firstly, without sufficient preparation, he wouldn't be able to move the other party. Secondly, they were still engaged. If he were to interfere now, it would be easy for her to use it against him, which would affect the division of assets after the divorce. For her own good and his own good, he had to plan this carefully. No matter what, he had to wait until she was divorced before he could reveal his true feelings. With him around, she definitely wouldn't fall into anyone's hands. That day, Luo Yiqing indeed didn't go home. She stayed in the hospital to watch over Qian Beibei. Especially when he saw Qian Beibei crying in front of him in the hospital, he really couldn't bear to be ruthless. He could only accompany her. The next day, Luo Yiqing originally planned to go home earlier, but she thought that Qian Beibei was still in the hospital and there was no one to take care of her. So she told Tanghua that she would be a little late today. She bought Qian Beibei's favorite dishes and brought them to the hospital. When Qian Beibei saw these dishes, tears fell down her cheeks. I knew that you still have me in your heart. Chapter 1049. Yiqing, you can't forget me, can you? Luo Yiqing only said, Beibei, I'm already married. Xiaoguo is very good. But you haven't forgotten me. I know that you can't forget me. Qian Beibei said stubbornly, I don't believe that you two are really together. Yiqing, do you dare to say that you're really together with her? Seeing that Luo Yiqing was silent, Qian Beibei was a little happy and quickly ate her food. It was my fault. Yiqing, let's start over, okay? Since you don't like Tanghua, you should make it clear to her. Even if you two are married. So what? If you don't like her, you don't like her. It's because of my mother that we missed each other. Yiqing, this time, I just want to be with you. I won't listen to my mother anymore. Luo Yiqing shook her head. Beibei, it's impossible between us. Qian Beibei was silent. But I can't forget you. And you can't forget me. 1 ton and 1 t/I, you'll forget sooner or later. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe that you'll forget me. Beibei, I'm going home. Qian Beibei's tears fell again. Okay, go home. She wiped her tears. Luo Yiqing, do you dare to bet? Bet that you won't forget me for 3 years. Do you dare? Beibei. Luo Yiqing, 3 years. Do you dare to bet that we'll be together for 3 years? Qian Beibei looked at Luo Yiqing stubbornly. Do you want to bet? You can't forget me for 3 years, and you can't accept Tanghua for 3 years. You can't fall in love with her. Yiqing, give us a chance, okay? If you still love me and I love you 3 years later, but you still don't fall in love with Tanghua, then we'll be together. Do you dare? Qian Beibei looked at Luo Yiqing seriously with tears streaming down her face. Yiqing, I'm 27 this year. I'll be 30 in 3 years. I'm willing to bet 3 years of my precious time with you. Don't tell me you don't dare. Do you know how much courage it took for me to make this decision? I put forward this condition just to give each other a chance. Fine, give each other another chance. I want to try. Luo Yiqing's heart was a little shaken. Qian Beibei had been with him for 9 years, from the wonderful age of 18 to the present age of 27. In 3 more years, she would be 30 years old. For a woman, every year before the age of 30 was incomparably precious. Beibei, what's the point? No matter whether you agree or not, I'll wait for these 3 years. Qian Beibei's stubbornness and determination touched Luo Yiqing a little. For some reason, he said, okay, if I forget you 3 years later, we'll forget about each other. We won't be involved in the future. He thought that Qian Beibei couldn't wait for 3 years. He also thought that 3 years was enough for her to forget someone. He ignored Qian Beibei's downcast smile, as well as her determined gaze. He also forgot how much Qian Beibei knew about him and how much he cared about her. He only thought that this was the best way to let Qian Beibei stop pestering him and let the two of them stop entangling each other. Time could fade everything. Then, Beibei, I'm leaving. Okay. This time, Qian Beibei didn't stop him. Luo Yiqing breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking of Tanghua at home, he felt very guilty. When he got home, Tanghua was sitting on the sofa watching TV. When she saw him come back, she asked, Have you been busy recently? Yes. Luo Yiqing nodded vaguely. I'm preparing to start a business. I want to put it on the agenda as soon as possible. Crosstalk. Female supporting character. Calm down peak. Chapter 1050. It was indeed a little earlier. If he wanted to get busy, he would soon forget about Qian Beibei. How's the preparation going? Give me 2 more months. I will resign in 2 months. Tanguo laughed. Well, then I will prepare the money. How much do you need? Without waiting for Luo Yiqing to speak, Tanguo said, I plan to invest 10 million. Do you think it's enough? It was enough. Luo Yiqing really didn't expect that Tanguo would invest 10 million so easily. With the money in Tanguo's hands, it was enough. Plus the money in his hands, he could start the company. Moreover, his two brothers from the family Tang family seemed to invest some money. Luo Yiqing was suddenly full of confidence. As long as there was enough money, he could guarantee that within half a year, there would be results. In the past few months, he also persuaded several people in the company with whom he had a good relationship to work with him. He had the financial resources and manpower. He only needed to resign and do it. Enough. Because of the entrepreneurship, Luo Yiqing didn't have time to think about Qian Beibei after he recovered from his injury. After that time, Qian Beibei also did not appear in front of Luo Yiqing, which made him heave a sigh of relief. Recently, he was going to go solo. Because Tanguo invested such a large sum of money, she must come to see him often. After all, she was the biggest shareholder. She accounted for 60% to 70% of the proportion. If it weren't for her two brothers' investment, she would have accounted for more than 80%. In addition, the few people that Luo Yiqing poached were the old employees of the company. They also invested some money. After all, working for oneself was definitely different from working for others. After resigning, they still had to work for Luo Yiqing. They might as well stay in the original company. Working for Luo Yiqing was for the shares. It was more profitable than working for others. A few months later, Luo Yiqing finally opened a company. Tanguo just walked over from time to time. She still moved her lips and gave some suggestions. Because of Tanguo's advice, Luo Yiqing and the others also benefited a lot from it, and they started their companies more smoothly. When Tanguo saw that these members knew how powerful she was, she went into seclusion. However, whenever Luo Yiqing and the others asked her something, they would still call her to discuss it. Of course, Tanguo would not refuse. She went over to solve the problem and continued to hide. She rarely appeared in the company, but in the hearts of all the members, she occupied a very important part. Anyway, in their hearts, Tanguo was very powerful. There was almost no problem that she couldn't solve. This made them sigh once again. She was indeed the daughter of a rich family. Any idea that she casually came up with was much better than theirs. It was very difficult for them, but she could solve it easily. After hearing that Luo Yiqing opened a company, Mother Luo and Sister Luo rushed over and wandered around the company. They were very happy. Now that Luo Yiqing was also a big boss, this was something that made them and their village proud. Mother Luo thought of what the villagers had told her before and said to Luo Yiqing, Yiqing, now that you have opened a company, don't forget the people in our village. They helped our family a lot in the past. In order to support Luo Yiqing, a famous university graduate, the villagers did help a lot. Mom, what do you mean? Can you arrange some work for the young people in our village who want to come up with some ideas? Fastware, supporting female lead, Calm Down Claw Book Room 01D, Gu, Woo, Noo, Section Noo, Time Free 05, Read 002. Top, you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.